Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 187 of Fans of Power. I'm Joe Amato, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Tyler T-Rex Baker.
For all those fans out there who are just strictly about pain apps and articulation, you fans can stick it, brother.
And to my other partner in crime, Nasty Nate, Nathan Kennedy.
Hey, yo.
And, well, I gotta do something too. This mask has been on long enough. It's really hot. Gotta be time for a change, so I got something that's gonna be a little cooler. At least I hope. But now I can finally have something off of my damn face. I can breathe. You're gonna have a little bit in my mouth, but so what? The mystique is still here. So what's going on, guys?
Joe has revealed himself to be the third face on this podcast here.
God damn it.
Well, I was going to... that's what we should have the Bobby Heenan thing. It's like, who's the third man?
Yeah, who's the third face on this podcast here? Is it Joe Amato?
Exactly. So this had to be a little something different. But yeah, I took a Sin Cara mask. I redid it, repainted it, added some stuff, added some teeth here, did the covering of this. But
I'm taking these
needed
off
something to breathe.
It's just like way too dark. All right, go ahead.
All right, but as you know, yes, gotta breathe. And we're all sporting some new Fans of Power t-shirts, so if you can go to TeePublic. Nathan will put the link, of course, in the description, and you guys can get a new Fans of Power t-shirt. Just a little something old, but with something new, trying something different. So, yeah, well, let me first, before we get going, I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat room, which Patrick O'Keefe, I think he was just trying to figure out, I didn't know if he sent a message, and I think he said he was just trying to figure out the live chat at some point, even though he joined us last week. I got to remember what he said, but somebody's got a direct question to you too, Tyler, so I'm going to get to that in a bit. But I'm going to shout out now to Zentron, Ryan, Zen Brown, who we got? Oh, we got somebody different, PC Cleric. And Zen Brown, hope you ain't disappointed. I know you always want the whole mask being shown, but I mean, covering the face, but I got to breathe, man. Otherwise, I'll be passing out in these podcasts with the new increased heat. Let me see who else we have. Papa Huds, Grimbot is here. Febmon, okay, Patrick O'Keefe, I mentioned that earlier, but he is here as well. And there, I think I got everybody. But what's that? Grimbot said clutch cargo, Joe. Yeah. So, but hey, I was like, now I can finally do that, like axe and smash. You know how when they take off the mask, they have the makeup and always that. I was like, that could be a good thumbnail. It's like you picture the teeth. It's like, So see, I can do a pose with my tongue out now, and you can see it. Anthony Albanese, Tags Media Animation. Oh, thank you for joining us. Sam, I was
going to say now you guys can see what the ladies have been loving all these years.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, it's that big tongue. It's that bottom lip. Rick Poe, what's up? Now, I want to get to one question first before we get into some stuff, but Dan Hudson had a question. I was like, you know what? I forgot to start the show. Might as well get right into the heat right when it starts.
Man, how much sugar did you have? I swear, like you had just like, boom!
Yeah.
I mean, I even tried to do like a quick promo, and Joe just steamrolled right over me, and I'm like laying flat on the road. And
God damn,
like,
Joe.
oh, the hell with you guys. Oh, we got to get to the chat room. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, hey, it's actually for you, Tyler. And the thing is, hopefully it'll get you worked up. Figured we might as well start off getting worked up. But Dan Hudson had a question for you, and he put it in our Fans of Power Facebook page. So the question's for Tyler. Last week on the podcast, you verbally shitted on King Grayskull. What is it about King Grayskull that earns your disgust?
I mean, just alone, like when that character was introduced, I was expecting it to be Hero, from the powers of Grayskull, because that was established back in the 80s that was where they were going. That would have been the source of He-Man's power. What Grayskull was going to be constructed in his honor, like that was pretty well established, like where they were going. So I just felt like, okay, we're going to hopefully get to see that. And when they come up with just this early variation of He-Man, it sucks. It was unoriginal. It wasn't unique. It was just He-Man, but a behemoth version. And he's not superpowered. He's just big. And they throw in this bullshit, lesson for him to learn. And it was just like, it takes away the unique position of He-Man in general. Like it's always been presented that He-Man is one of a kind. Like centuries and centuries would pass by, Grayskull becomes forgotten because this legendary hero was supposed to come about and be bequeath the power of Grayskull, the Power Sword, and defend Grayskull from all evils. And instead, they threw out that lame ass idea like Hero, like he's a wizard, and his magic that he possesses is the power of Grayskull, is what makes He-Man becomes or turns Prince Adam into He-Man. You feel like there's so much to go with there, and just King Grayskull. There's nothing. It just took away. It made what He-Man so special not so special because there was others before him, and then the classics bios decided to make up this nonsense like multiple heroes. Like God Almighty! I mean, could you guys do any more to piss and shit all over the special place that He-Man has in Master of the Universe? It just I know none of this stuff was like kind of set in stone, but when this cartoon came out, the vast, I'd say 90% of the fan base that was on the board, on the boards and various websites, knew that Hero was the source of He-Man's power and everything, and just to not do that, it was a slap in the face. I felt like it was such a shitty, lame idea. So
was it also because, like you said, the big anticipation, praying that, of course, Hero would finally show up, and then when you didn't get him, it was like, this is what we got. Like you said,
it was just a big, tall He-Man. Like God, it was so lame. But honestly, if the Horde had not been in that episode, I swear it would have been forgotten, much like The Island or Turnabout or To Walk with Dragons. Thrown in with a bunch of like very forgettable episodes. If the Horde was not in that episode, people wouldn't have given a shit about King Grayskull. I guarantee it. But because they were in it, people wanted to embrace all of it. And I know there are some people who genuinely liked it, and they're probably the ones who weren't even aware of Hero. And if that's your excuse, I have my eye on you, but I'll give you a pass. But
and did you feel like also maybe a little too cliche, not in Beyond King Grayskull, but when you got Battle Lion, it's like, oh, okay, first we have Battle Cat, which is Tiger. Now we got the big lion, which is big.
It's just like you didn't have to go that far. And then when those mini comics came along, and we were told we're going to get the definitive, with the Powers of Grayskull mini comics, we're going to finish that storyline. No, they did not. It was just like, I don't need to bash the guy responsible for it. If you listen to this podcast, you guys know who wrote those. You know who's responsible. And he wrote Hero being killed off in the second issue in a book called Hero Unleashed. And who was more prominent? King Grayskull. So the list goes on.
Hero wasn't unleashed. Yeah, I was going to say, we didn't get Hero Unleashed either. He just got killed.
Yeah, Hero shitstorm, because that's what it was. It was all about pushing, the 2000X elements and anything else that this particular writer just wanted to shove in there because he felt like he had his thumb on the heartbeat of the community there. Knew how to write a good epic story, and it was just the characters just meaningless, pointless, and I don't denounce people who do like him. I just denounce the character wholeheartedly, and I'm sorry, there's not a single person on this planet, like hell, when Dean Stefan, God rest his soul, was on the Roast Google podcast, and Val like called him out on King Grayskull, like it's I can't even remember what Dean's explanation was about it, because I'm pretty sure I think he wrote that episode, I think, but I just felt like it just took away so much from what made He-Man so special. It's fascinating for the idea of that there is no definitive defender of Grayskull from the passing of Hero, and then time goes on where the Snake Men are put away, the Horde were around, they're put away, they go up to Etheria and rise a massive empire across the galaxies and stuff. Grayskull's forgotten. Heroes and villains come and go, and Grayskull's pretty much forgotten. But at some point, someone's going to come along and realize that that's the ultimate source of power, and that's when you bring in this new hero that's going to carry on the legacy and the mantle of Hero and the power of Grayskull itself, and just make the stakes, raise the stakes so high, and it means something. It doesn't mean anything when you've had more than one He-Man. It doesn't make He-Man that special. It's just okay, now it's your turn.
Yeah, especially you're referring to the classics bio canon where they had multiple He-Men. That's what you're
which I thought was just and what I wouldn't have been bothered by it so much if I didn't think that a lot of fans were buying that as definitive canon, because some fans were. They were thinking, oh, well, that's how it really is. Like, no, that's what worries me about that. I mean, if people were just dismissing it the way, he who shall not be named was addressing. Well, if you don't want to abide to those, you don't have to. But so many people were, and they were just thinking like, oh, well, this is what really happened. Oh, super power vests and technoviruses and all that dumb shit. When people were thinking that was mythology, that's what makes me worry.
And that's things we're all probably. I think we're going to address some of that stuff you said there, and when we get into that mini comic. But I did want to say something quickly too. JSP, Daniel Maynard, Wiley Walt, T Dog, they have all joined us as well. And we'll see. I was going to say we'll see how this mask continues into next week because, believe it or not, still damn hot. And David Clark joined us.
Well, you insist on wearing plastic and covering up most of your face. I mean, did you really think it would be like air conditioning in there? Or
someone buy Joe a fan, please.
No, the only benefit is
Joe. I'm going to look for an oscillating fan on Amazon because I have your address, and I'm just going to buy it, and it's just going to show up on your porch.
Because you know what
I'm going to do.
This is actually off my face, though, but I guess it doesn't help with the heat anyway. But, so David Clark says, cannot wait to see what Mattel does with its origin figures. But, no, let's just go back real quickly when you're talking about the whole thing with King Grayskull. What's funny is as much as that MYP, it didn't last long. Obviously, the cartoon did not last a long time. And you'd think that a lot of people forgot about it. But they don't, because pretty much when I go to a lot of groups, when people say something of like, what would they like to see in the new movie? I can't believe the amount of times I'm seeing King Grayskull referenced. I hope they show something about King Grayskull in the past, and then it links into the future. It's like some of the people were really into it. I mean, Tyler, I know you hate it with a passion, but I am surprised at the amount of people that I've seen saying that in the different Facebook groups.
That's what worries me is that when the show was out. There was a lot of knowledge and info on He-Man in general, and to not treat yourself to all the vast history that was going on with the toy line and the cartoon and the mini comics and stuff. I mean, they pulled the Skeletor thing from the 80s toy line because that's where they were going. So obviously Mattel and MYP were kind of picking and choosing what they wanted, we like the idea of Skeletor being He-Man's uncle. Let's choose that. Hero, the source of power of the Grayskull? No. We'll create our own and just redo He-Man with long hair and a big cape, and he'll talk really deep and talk and walk like this. And I don't want any more bloodshed here on it, and talking all stoic and shit.
Like I said, the thing with Battle Lion actually upset me. I couldn't believe how massive they made Battle Lion and compared to Battle Cat. That was the thing that irked me as well. It makes the
Horde not look less threatening. I don't care what you did with Hordak, but when they're just mowing through Grizzlord,
those troopers,
and the Horde troopers, they're not a threat to anybody.
Yeah, they made them look so small, especially the Horde troopers. When Battle Lion was just plowing through them all, I mean, they look almost like microscopic. So you're right. It's like, my God, you'd think that He-Man is supposed to be the one that would be looking the biggest or most intimidating, or the character you're looking up to, once the future happens. And with this new steed, but in the past, it's like King Grayskull and Battle Lion topped He-Man and Battle Cat in their stature, if you will. It was just kind of a weird, bizarre choice.
Yeah,
at least, if anything, make him a little smaller.
Look less powerful too. The fact that this guy who had no real power, he's just a really enormous guy in general who hovers over everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It just sucks, people. It really does. Yeah. There's nothing you can pull from that episode or any fan theory that's going to convince me otherwise. Because I've been with this toy, I've never stopped. And then when the information starts rolling in about where they were going, I'm like, oh man, this is fascinating. Like I love. I had the Powers of Grayskull mini comic, and I would always look at that last panel of Hero, like wondering who that was. But not knowing who that was until the early days of the internet, we didn't grow up with that. We just were kind of, it was an unsolved mystery. So it's not like I have a nostalgic attachment to it. I just thought it was a brilliant idea. Like, I love where they were going with that. And you have Eldor and the dinosaurs, and the Snake Man would have been the prominent, faction of evil on Eternia at that time. And the Three Towers. Like, there was so much more they were going to give us. and you say, "Oh, the hell with all that! Scrap it all off," you know.
And a couple quick things with that too. First, JH4073 and also Eric Amon, thank you for joining us. But like David Clark quickly said, the 2000 X Troopers were made far in the past, so it makes sense that the modern ones would be much smarter and stronger. Well, I guess that's not really what we're referring to. We just meant
the Horde is supposed to be the dominant threat. It doesn't matter if they were human or not. The Horde.
I was just in scale. Yeah. No, it's true. I was just in scale referencing how damn big Battle Line was. I just can't get over how massive that. He was just way too damn big for at least me. And Zen Brown even chimed in to say, yeah, like King Hiss told He-Man, you're no King Grayskull. So it's even showing, it's like he was impressed looking at probably He-Man when he's thinking about how he had to deal with King Grayskull in the past. You know, it's some good points that people bring up in the chat. Respect them both. You know, either way, I respect, what you guys are saying. But it's weird.
I don't respect them both. I'm telling you that right now.
Of course.
I respect the people. It's not their opinion.
Ryan said that there's only one king, and it's King Coupon. So there we go.
There you go. You guys keep talking.
I respect that. And you know what? I won't debate that.
And I'm still here. You guys keep talking.
Well, I'm assuming Joe's already like, I'm ditching this mask. I'm going back to the paper. It took him all of 20 minutes.
Yeah, and he did all that customizing and
what?
Yeah. Well, kids, we apologize for the language on this podcast so early on. Joe's over there probably like, pulling underwear out of his crack and God knows what else off the side.
He's taking the tissues and scraping them off the desk. Yeah. He's like, no.
But anyway, Nathan, do you remember watching that episode and having any kind of did it even leave an impression on you? This is what I'm trying to say. When we were watching
no recollection at all.
Sounds about right. Well, that just proves.
I'm waiting for people to just really get pissed off that I'm even on this show, and I have to stress that the main reason I'm on here is because Joe wants me on here more. So if you hate me and you don't like me that much, just blame Joe. That's what we always do anyway.
When you actually have one listener, whether it's through Podbean, iTunes, or on YouTube, that says, I really don't like that nasty Nick Kennedy guy. He didn't know jack shit about He-Man guy. When that happens, let me know. But so far, if we get,
I'm just here to. Honestly, I'm just here to start the broadcast and buy the shirt and hang out. That's why I'm here.
I think that's more than enough.
Oh, look! He already switched. He already abandoned it. He already gave up.
All that hype, just to,
Who would have thought that I'd be sweating that much?
All that hype. Oh God, that's terrible.
May as well, yeah.
The quickest undebut in the history of any fucking franchise. I couldn't take it no more. It's damn, no way it should have been that high.
It's like that Vade. What was his name? Vade Hansen or whatever. He was cutting all these promos and never showed up on TV, and the character was dropped, and he was released, and no one it just fell into obscurity.
Who was that? Who was he?
I think it was Vade Hansen. I think they had set him up to have a feud with the Undertaker.
Was that the the Hunter, the Hunter guy?
I don't know. He just cut these promos that were just so wide open that okay, and then he just never showed up.
Yeah, I remember.
God, I don't even remember.
A guy dressed up as a hunter in camo, sitting out in the woods, cutting promos.
I can't believe that he already abandoned the mask.
I can't either. Look, I'm gonna grab this bitch. Hold on a second. Let me see. Oh no, I'm not gonna show you that inside. That looks gross. Anyways, I mean, it's just
the Amato residue.
It is. It's all right. No, I'm gonna show you. I don't care. I'll show you the back of it.
And you could throw that on eBay and make a whole lot of money because there's sweats in there too, and somebody's oh my God!
I can take his sweat and clone and make my own Joe Amato?
Yeah, he can customize shit for free.
But no, I mean, up towards the top, sweat was pouring. Like I said, I would do all these modifiers with the eye holes and these teeth and some. Oh my God! What a damn! I thought it was going to work. I had all this fresh.
Well, why
didn't you wear one of those cheap Ben Cooper masks?
Why didn't it work?
What's funny is with this mask here.
Did anyone in the chat were there just 2 or 3 people who were like, Joe, I don't like this look? He's like, oh,
no,
I can't.
No, there was a couple. Hey, cool new mask, but that was too hot. See, with this mask here, I can at least take a tissue, as you guys like to call my picking with the tissue I have down there. I can at least get them up through my face. This, even though it was breathing room, with this nose guard here, I couldn't get into my head.
Didn't you try this out before we did the podcast, or did you think it was just going to go?
Well, you know what's funny though is I didn't do it in this room. I did it in another room. I probably should have went to the
With air
hot box here and do
conditioning?
it. Yeah, exactly. With air conditioning. So, wah wah wah. I had my.
I'm gonna buy Joe an air conditioner on Amazon that he can just hook up and put in that room.
No. I'll get a little fan. I promise. I'll get a little
Nope.
fan. It will. Yeah, no, don't do that. So, yeah. Well,
Live on
Nathan-
air. Let's go ahead and order Joe a fan.
Okay, shut up. All right, now we're gonna have to let's get into at least one of the topics, which Nathan you could be a part of. And look, he's still searching for damn fans online now.
Because you don't think he's
But-
going to do it, do you?
He better not. Don't
Oh,
do
it's-
that, Nate. I can go find one for a couple bucks at like a dollar store.
At least
Trust me.
throw in like a Chick-fil-A party tray along with it if you can do something like that, you know.
I could deal with that. I could.
Well, hey, before we jump into the topic, Joe, should we address something on the podcast that was just a weird coincidence on my end that is He-Man related? Can we talk about that, or should we not talk about that?
Sure, go ahead. You know what? I don't see nothing wrong with it because what you're doing is protecting. You're protecting fans. Because first, I'll say there's something that Nathan was going through. He was dealing with it for a while, and then coincidentally, with whatever he was dealing with, came back up in one manner. And he asked me. He said, "Joe, this is the person that he was talking with, dealing with." He's like, "Could you say something in one of the groups?" And I only did it in one of the groups, and I was going to address more of them. But it's to keep people from possibly having bad dealings. But you go ahead, Nathan. Go ahead.
And Tyler doesn't even know anything about this. I don't believe.
This is news to me.
Well, I mean, Tyler knows about the general situation here because I told him about it. So the plan was around his birthday. It was going to be
this.
it was going to be a little late, but and it was going to be a cool thing, honestly, for us to do on the show. Is I had gotten Tyler the Central Tower of the Eternia playset on eBay. I won it in an auction, and I waited and I waited. It was about a week and a half because there was no, because usually eBay sales are really good about, I marked it as ship, here's the tracking number. Got neither of those things. Wait a little bit because I'm like, whatever. People have other shit to do. I'll wait. Week and a half goes by. The estimated delivery date passes. I'm like, all right, I'll message the seller. Be like, hey, what's up? And the seller took like 2-3 days to get back to me. And then was like, I mailed it off. I thought I'm pretty sure I mailed it off. I was like, okay. Well, I'll wait a little
Who the
longer.
hell would forget mailing that big sumbitch package? But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, well, it reached a point where I'm like, well, if you mailed it and my address is on there, it should have gotten to me by now. It's like, well, maybe the post office lost it. And I was like, I don't think so. So time goes by, and I've never had this problem. I've been on eBay for a while, and I've never had this issue. So I went ahead and opened up a case on eBay. It's basically sort of forcing, like, hey, either if you're holding out and you haven't mailed it, mail it, or whatever, we'll get a refund. Message me in a panic, like, oh, no, we'll figure it out. I'll talk to the post office, whatever. And then eventually it was like, well, I'll give you your refund. And I made the mistake of having that case open because I thought if I closed that would still leave the options for the potential refund or whatever. It took all of that away. I'm like, oh, well, I guess you get off scot-free. But luckily I went through PayPal and sent them a message to dispute this and open up a case on there. They're like, well, we'll get in contact with the seller. And then they're like, well, they never responded. Here's your refund. I won the item at the end of March. It was like March 31st. I got the refund like at the beginning of May. So this was like a month-long process of waiting and struggling. Anyway, I do occasionally search for Eternia playset on eBay.
Hey, one more thing, not to cut you off, but this is the context of what you're saying. Also let them know you got it at an incredible deal. So that's a big kicker there.
Yeah. Well, he had it listed as auction. So, like, I set a price, and when it ended, I got it at a really decent price. Really decent, considering what this is. And I do searches on eBay for Eternia playset. Lo and behold, there's the exact item. I see it, and I'm like, oh, that picture looks familiar. And it's in a lot with the other two towers. Click on it. Same seller. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that really got lost in the mail, huh?
Son of a bitch.
I was like, yeah, you just weren't satisfied with the price that it sold for, so you were just going to walk me around in a circle, bullshit me. That's when I contacted Joe, and I was like, hey, can you send these out into the groups? Because, anytime you post anything, people will see it and know what's going on. So he made the post. And oddly enough, I was like, well, let me look through the PayPal receipts, because when you do that, it shows like the person's real name that you had the exchange with on eBay. So I looked and I did a Facebook search and found the person. And I was like, here's this person's profile. It doesn't show there's any mutual friends or anything. Joe and he's like, holy shit. Like, he's in my friends list. Oh, he's a part of this group. And I'm like, huh, my world just got smaller. So,
Holy shit.
And it turns out there's been issues before with that certain individual in the group. They, in the comments, they're like, can you just say who it was? And I'm like, well, here you go. Here's the picture. Here's the name. Watch out for this guy. Because
and did you also mention as quickly as you go ahead?
Here's the kicker. As soon as I told Joe that, and he posted that in the group, not even 10 minutes later, the listing came down on eBay as unsold. That's what kind of started the process. I'm like, well, he must be involved with something. And then when I went to his profile, looked down, it showed like years ago, blah, 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 likes, heman.org. I'm like, huh. So it really got everything set in motion. So regardless, I mean, it sucks for that person to like be kicked out of the group, and they're kind of shady anyway from what I've heard, but to do that and then try to resell it at the price that you want because you didn't get. The other thing too is,
did we lose Nathan?
Yeah,
the individual.
Okay, he's back now.
So I like kicked me out for a second.
Yeah, just the audio.
Oh, that's weird. So had them all three individually. I guess someone bought one. I got the central tower, so I guess they screwed that other person out of that too. So those people know who to look out for now. So just be careful out there. I'm bummed because it ruined a really great surprise, because the plan was to sort of do what we did last time with the other pieces of Eternia playset that I got for Tyler, but I wasn't going to show up at his place. I was going to go leave it on his porch and then come back and then interrupt, like, oh God, guys, Tyler, you really got to go. There's something on your porch, I think. And then I was going to go. It would have been awesome. So thank you to that guy that fucked me out of that. And
so
tried to be shady.
That asshole was a part of this group, denied something. God, man.
I just always hate seeing that with sellers, when there's a seller that, if you always have the price that, remember, there's something that you have a price to where if it doesn't match that, then it won't sell. That's something he should have done. But just to put it up there, Nathan wins it at a great price, and then to pull the thing about, I shipped it, I think it was there, and then
I even threw that out there in the messages to the seller. I'm like, are you just not doing this because it didn't go for what you wanted? Oh no, man, no. I promise, I'm a good person. Blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, okay. So there we go. Yeah, that was a shitty thing to do. Really shitty.
Because we always look out for each other in all the groups. So yeah, that's why. I mean, and if you guys, you can always private message me, because I never want to. You guys know I don't ever want to run somebody through the mud right here live and give their name and say, here's a picture of that fucker too. But I mean, if you guys in private messages want to message me, I'll let you know so you can keep an eye out, because it's a shame. I was getting messages. That's the other funny thing, Nathan, is after I did that, I got messages from admins in other groups who was part of the group I was in. They're like, what's the guy's name? I got to see who this is, because if he's a member of this group, he's going to be getting booted. And he got booted from a lot of places. I mean,
that's what you get when you do that. Just be a decent human being. Don't try to, if it didn't go for the price you want, you should have listed it, buy it now, and not had it at auction.
Yeah, that's why you have a reserve price.
Yeah,
he should have just did
reserve.
Yeah,
you could have done that too. It's like, well, reserve not met, then no one gets it. Whatever.
Exactly.
No, yeah, there you go.
Yep. God, I can't believe that.
Yeah, he would have had it, man, if it wasn't for him being shady as shit. Sorry.
So that's I know, because it does. It
sucks. Down, and then Tyler just does. He's like, all right, I can't go. I can't do this.
I'm done with the podcast.
Nathan told me about this a while back, but I did not know about any of this other stuff.
Tyler, that honestly, just Joe, that happened like Thursday?
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah,
it happened. Yeah,
all of that happened just a few days ago, and I figured I would just tell you on here. Just get that genuine reaction from you.
I'm genuinely pissed at that guy.
Yeah, I always hate it when you especially see it's somebody that you know or is in, on your friends list or listen in groups. Sometimes, when it's a complete stranger, of course you're pissed as hell, but it doesn't hit you here, especially like, I know that guy. I can't believe that guy would have did that. That's always the shocker and the eye opener. Just sucks when things like that happen. So, but we're always going to keep an eye out for everybody and look out for everybody in the chat room. People are listening anywhere through iTunes and stuff. We always try to look out for you guys. So, sucks. Just keep your eyes peeled. And also look at feedback. Definitely look at that feedback, because sometimes if they got something to where there's a lot of issues and it's not the 100%, see why. And they're like, oh shit, I might not want to deal with it.
Well, I mean, at the time that I had won that, not much of that had happened yet. I think there was like one piece of negative feedback and he had responded to it. And I'm like, all right, well, I didn't think anything of it. And then during this process, there were like 2 or 3 more that had hit with negatives, like the exact same thing that happened. I'm like, all right.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at what Ryan just did in the chat room. There was that crazy ass movie Adventures in Babysitting back in the day. And there was the one kid who was always trying to be the nice guy, didn't want to punch Brad. I won't sink to your level. And he had that one friend who was like always a dick or something. He's like, I'll jump to that level or lowered myself and like kick the guy or did some shit.
Yeah.
Well, earlier I just said, I won't go down that level. I won't say the guy's name. Ryan just said, eBay sellers, Leo's Lion's Den. He just put it there. So, well, there you go.
I mean, there you go. It's out there in the ether. I mean, it was there on Facebook. So if you guys are in the groups and see it, and David Clark.
David Clark, just put the link.
No. That's a different one. That's a different one.
That's a different guy. Okay, good. All right, thank God. Yeah, that is a different person. But we don't want to tarnish this person. This person's cool, but hey, that's a good ass deal too, right there. Yeah. But we'll see how that goes.
No, I was actually kind of watching it just to see where it was going for. Joe, I found a fan for you. By the way.
Better be cheap as shit. I still don't like you doing that. But you're going to still stick around for what we're going to do right now. The last part, I know you're not going to join us.
Right.
But we did want to talk about, why is being evil so cool? Why does it seem like people gravitate to loving the evil characters? Not just Masters of the Universe, but other franchises. But we're, of course, going to be saying about Masters. But what is it that's so appealing? Is it the design? Is it their powers, their looks? But it seems like every group you go to, every time I do that damn, what do you like? Evil warriors or heroic warrior more? People always go to the evil, and it seems like a lot of times people seem like they're talking about the design wise. They look cooler, they look more badass. The heroes, some of them are just kind of bland, not too much to them. Of course, there are some great looking heroes, don't get me wrong, but I guess, well, Nathan, since we ran, me and Tyler doing the one thing, and since you'd be the person that we'd like to get first, what is it about evil characters you think that makes it so cool?
I mean, it's always something that even we always kind of go back to wrestling. It's easier to be a bad guy. It's easier to get people to hate you than to like you. It's really hard to get people to like you, honestly. You could take like one little thing, and that person, if they don't like it, like they're gonna hate you for a while until you can somehow change their minds. But Tyler and I were talking about this when we did G.I. Joe the movie on Capes and Commentaries yesterday, that a lot of it does have to do with designs. When you think about it, especially in Masters, like all those guys have like really cool looks, and that's not to take away from the heroes, but it always seems like there's more to them than the heroes. And I mean, I don't know. It's just how they talk, how they carry themselves. It's just the total package. Like the hero is there to stop them. And as people over time can, I guess, kind of tire of that because it seems so generic on their part, whereas it seems like the villains can just...
They have no boundaries.
Yes, and they're not like boxed in. They can kind of just do whatever they want to and go as crazy as they want to, where the hero has to be that guy that's like grounded, that's going to like put them away. And I think that's why we like the villains more. They always get the better dialogue, I think, anyway.
What about you, T-Rex?
I mean, to kind of piggyback on that, like villains are given a lot of variety. If you're going to design a villain, you don't feel like you're limited as to what, like you can have a villain be kind of a crustaceous kind of lobster villain, like Clawful. You could probably do it as a hero, but he may not be as imposing as when you make him a villain. When you look at a guy covered in purple spikes, you make him a villain, you can really kind of just go crazy with that. You look at Webstore, Cobra Khan, Jitsu, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Like you can go anywhere. You can make a villain out of anything. You know, I mean, obviously with He-Man, you've got Rock Warriors, you've got like a ninja, like a Slamurai, you've got Ceratus, you've got a cybernetic cowboy, you've got a bee warrior, snout spout, cybernetic elephant. You know, you got a wide variety too. But with the villains, you feel like you can really just stretch the imagination. I mean, with the Horde, I mean, you look at the wide variety. Even with the Snake Man, even though they're all snakes, I mean, just you have all these wide variety of snakes to make villains out of, from a rattlesnake to an anaconda. You know, it's just limitless with villains, and the visuals too. Like, and all three of us can attest to this as well. Like when you're kids and you see horror movie villains on VHS boxes back in the day in the Visitor, I was always intrigued to look at Freddy Krueger. As much as he scared the piss out of me, you couldn't help but look at the visual of him tearing away at the cover and peeking around from Freddy's 2, Freddy's Revenge, and then like the Dream Wars when he's got his claw out and all these like characters, and you see like the scale, like, oh my god, like he's so scary because it's so big and he's gigantic in that. You know, villains allow you to really push, the visual limits. I mean, Skeletor is it's such a simple design that Mark Taylor gave us, but son of a bitch, it is. You can't get more evil looking than that. A skull with a hood, with a sword and a havoc staff. And color schemes, you could do it like a villain that wears purple, a purple outfit with blue skin. Might be laughable at a certain point, in a certain place, but you do that as a hero. But you do that as a villain. I'm looking at like Plundor. I mean, yeah, he looks silly as shit in Filmation, but the horse made a purple rabbit look pretty damn imposing because he's
and design wise. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like design wise, they can really like stand out because there's so many beyond the colors. It's just, especially creature wise. You know when you're looking at a villain, that must be hard because when you have heroes, I guess heroes are expected to have this kind of heroic, stoic look, maybe not be creature-esque, because if it's creature-like, maybe it looks too frightening. So it's like they can just keep pushing the limits with villains of doing some of the craziest stuff in the world. I mean, looking at Mosquito or Mantenna and Grizzlor, Leech, Modula. These are things that are just frightening and weird, in some cases grotesque. And they stand out, they catch your eyes, but when it goes to heroes, they're mostly usually just always maybe in one certain kind of color, maybe a different outfit, a different helmet. And then when they do try to push the limits with heroes, it's like sometimes they get pissed on. Like, unfortunately, Snoutspout, for an example. I love the design of him. I thought he was fantastic at, growing up playing with that toy, looking at him in the comics. But what do you get from a lot of people? It's a guy with an elephant head. He looks stupid. I'm like, why does the hero have to look stupid with it? If that was a villain.
If they were to make him a villain and give him like tusks coming out.
Evil eyes, something
he's
crazy.
An evil son of a bitch, man.
An attachment where fire or some crazy shit's coming out of his hose, but he looks evil, and the eyes look more evil, like it was with the comic,
Staction.
And then his, and like the Staction and like that, early design work of him. But when it transitioned into the toy, maybe it looks a little too happy. But I was like, I thought it was great. And then Rio Blast, that's too many guns. It's like, okay, now why is it?
That was a villain, Colonel Blast.
See? Yeah, exactly. With Colonel Blast, was like, but why is it with a villain? If they were to have all this stuff, it's like, look at all the attachments. It's like heroes kind of get pissed on some, to some extent. I mean, but then you get some characters exceptions like Roboto. It's like you can't look at Roboto and say that's a stupid design. That Roboto looks cool and badass too. They even amped him up in MYP, but it's something. Like you said, the villains can benefit from being villains to get all these insane design choices that just you usually don't question. I don't know. Has there? Okay, how we I brought up Rio Blast, Snoutspout, and even Extendar to some extent when people like pissing on him. Can you think of many villains that people looked at and said, I don't like the design. He doesn't look like he should be a villain. I don't know.
I kind of feel like Stinkor is looked upon as like a weak link as a villain. And I feel like had he been done as a heroic character, like a heroic skunk character, he really would have been shit on.
Yeah. But what about with the MYP look? Do you think that kind of turned the tables, though? Because I thought he looked pretty...
I think people liked him a lot. I just felt like, not that he was like incessantly crapped on like Snoutspout has been over the years, but I just felt like people were very quick to dismiss Stinkor or overlook him or someone who's just not. But when NYP came out, people lost their shit when they saw Oedipus show up, and then he becomes Stinkor, and people genuinely liked him a lot. And I'd like to think probably at this point people's perceptions have changed on Stinkor, but I as I've said before, I think people kind of overlook like how powerful a villain that is. If you can't breathe around the guy, then that takes away a lot of your strength, no matter what you are or what you can do or who you are.
Yeah.
So,
and David Clark, I was going to say really quickly, he brought up a good point. He said there are a lot of heroes that look like villains, also, which then they would look awesome. Like he said, Spawn, Ghost Rider, he said Etrigan, the demon. But you're right, Spawn, he's a good guy, but he does look badass and looks evil. And of course, Ghost Rider, good guy, but badass and looks evil. So it's crazy that the characters that are heroes that we do, like he just pointed saying, wow, what a design. But they have this badass evil look. It's crazy. It's like, why do the heroes have to look evil to stand out? It seems like sometimes it's bizarre.
Well, I mean, in the '90s, you went through that transition of, I mean, look at the shirts right here. Like that's kind of when I think of Spawn and Ghost Rider, I kind of think about that, like the cool heel. So you kind of have to maybe find a middle ground sometimes with your heroes, and it's like, well, maybe we can kind of change design.
Like Sting couldn't be the hollering Sting with the blonde hair and the colorful outfit. It was the Crow look and the guy who hung around and brooded, and you had to adapt when it's like you had to up. When your villain gets a big upgrade, the hero has to upgrade to a certain extent. Also, I also have to give credit to how artists depict these characters. If you have a character, as I have used before in the artwork I've done with Axel and Kevin, if you pick a character that is not very well known or probably disliked, you put a good artist behind it. What the hell are you laughing at now?
I'm loving it because what you just said about how somebody can make something look good or bad.
And
that's
then,
what I mean.
You're
it's
talking
like,
about how they put your face on stuff, and it makes
I wasn't going that way.
Like
I mean, it made me look even more badass when they put me in those pictures. But
I was going to say, picture taking that Leech mini comic, for example, is what would be cool or bad. I think we'd hate every damn character. God, what a horrible mini comic.
Yeah,
just can't get over that.
Carson comes along, and even though the story's completely different from that, but making Leech a little bit more of a focal point, even though the story it's a mess. But it really just depends on how you present these characters, and Carson going through and giving Leech a much more prominent and dominant design. Same thing with Hordak, and having a more understanding story. I'm not saying my Leech story was like, oh my god, it was breaking new ground, but it depicted the Horde and Leech as a prominent threat, and the heroes as heroes, and putting them in a situation where you're like, okay, how the hell are they going to get out of this? It just depends on how you present these characters, if they can be taken seriously. Like, you may have a really silly idea, but if you get a talented artist or a great animation crew, they can make something that seems like, this seems kind of silly. Because, I mean, like what Batman animated series, what they did with Mr. Freeze. They took a laughable character who started out as, I think, Mr. Zero, I believe, in the comics, like in the old, and then eventually becomes Mr. Freeze. They redesign him, give him a brand new backstory, and is part of the mythology, and has been for years, with that. So depending on how you decide you want to portray and present this character. And if there is, which to me there isn't a winkling in the Master of the Universe mythology, in terms of all this. And if there's someone in the chat that says, what about King Grayskull? The whole point of that character is it takes away from He-Man. It's not about the visual design. It's about his place in mythology. That's what I have a problem with. You can't have, it just doesn't work, people. It's that's not like presenting Batros as like the Count from Sesame Street. And like, oh no, we're gonna make it more serious here. Like, if that was the case, okay, then that's a scenario where that would work, where you need someone to reinterpret the character, give him like Count Marzo. Count Marzo is another prime example. Sucked on so many levels of Filmation. They bring him back in NYP, A+ all the way. I mean, just like extra credit, just out of the park. I mean, they kicked so much ass with that redesign. Same thing with Too Bad in comparison to Filmation. It just depends on how you really want to portray and present these characters, and it's important when you want to give the hero, something to fight for. Well, it all depends on how you depict the villain. if the villain is a shitty villain, you really don't think too much of this journey that the hero is dealing with. If Too Bad is the villain of the week in a new episode of He-Man for this Friday at 5 o'clock or whatever, if Too Bad is depicted as like a two-headed slob who just punches himself in the face all the time, well, you don't really get behind He-Man's adventure to take Too Bad down at all, do you? You have to take this stuff seriously in something like this. If you're going to be like some asshole with a man bun, hey, there's a lot of funny behind all this stuff here. It's up to him pretty easy here, people. Boom!
Which shows how the mini comics and other comics at points with certain characters, especially a lot of the villains, got to showcase how evil they could look, whether it's being how they're portrayed or their design. It's like Spike-Ore is the one that's always the big example for me. Just love how he would look in the mini comics, especially seeing him as a blacksmith and all the shadow and shading, just looks evil as hell. And then he pops up in Filmation. It's like, what did you do? But as Grimbot would say, and everybody knows, we know, yes, they had to dumb down half of these characters, make them silly, not frightening for kids, which sucks because those are other characters I would have loved to see if MYP continued. God, I can only imagine what they would have done with somebody like Scareglow and Spike-Ore and bringing in other characters like that. That would have been great to see, but unfortunately, never is going to happen. But yeah, the villains, damn, they do stand out. It's like they always seem like they get the most cult followings. Like it seems like Faker just starts to always get more and more of a cult following in these groups, whether it's just him as how he looks or people love battle damaging. You know, he gets it like how, of course, Boba Fett does with the Star Wars universe. Like something about these characters that have a certain look and an edge, people love to proudly display. I mean, we all know John Idas, he has his obsession with Scareglow, and I just seem like I see more people that like army build and collect some of the evil and not so many as the good. There's a couple. I think the one main one I was seeing was a couple people were on a Ram Man kick. Like I think there's this guy that's out there. He's known for trying to have the biggest Ram. Yeah, exactly. And it's a giant collection. But then I was on Facebook just probably 3 days ago. There was another person. He's starting a Ram Man one. So there's certain heroes that get their army building, but I always seem like I see it more on the villain
I'm
side.
going to do my own Stratus collection. What do you think about that? And just collect nothing but vintage Stratuses. I'll be like that guy who collected speed VHSs. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to become famous.
Oh, God. What a character. Ugh. You know what's funny is you just talked about the VHSs. They're doing something new. I was just at the store today, and it's not the box set like we got with those T-shirts that also had a DVD, a figure or whatever, or a shirt that looked like an old VHS set. They're doing it with DVD cases now. It's a DVD case. I've seen a real cool one for Last Action Hero today. It was a DVD case, but it looked like a VHS tape coming out of it. And they weathered it and aged it. I was like, yo, you seen those too?
Yeah,
cool.
Walmart had those on an end cap like months ago.
Yeah, like Joe, where you been?
Well, I think it was like a Walmart exclusive thing for a while, and then once that ran out, everyone could get. But yeah, they had all kinds of stuff. It's like Last Action Hero, Rambo. They had all kinds of stuff. It's cool, but yeah, slipcovers.
It's just a very cheap gimmick.
It would be better if you take the slipcover off and it still has that same cover underneath, but I don't know why they don't do that. They're like, no, here's just it's just basically a repackage. It's a variant. It's a Blu-ray variant. But it's cool though. I'm not.
Yeah.
I probably should have picked up that Last Action Hero one because I still don't have that on Blu-ray.
I'm one of the people that liked it. I don't care what people say. I like Last Action Hero.
It's a fantastic film.
It's a masterpiece, and I haven't met anybody that shit on it. I'm sure it's just like that kind of consensus, like where.
Well, give it about 30 seconds and see what the chat has to say.
The chat room stuff.
I challenged the chat room. Said, well, I thought it was pretty bad, man, because it was just like because Arnold's lame and stuff, and blah, 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 or whatever. You go watch your shitty rock movies.
Well, before we get, like I said, before we get to all your questions, we're going to have one more thing we're going to cover, but this is where Nathan's going to punk out, because apparently today, Nathan mowed the grass, and then he was too tired to fucking read The King of Castle Grayskull. I mean, it's exhausting.
Joe, it's not a too tired thing. It's just I had a lot of shit to do.
That's okay. I know that 3 minutes would have been really, taxing on your fucking brain.
Yeah. There we go. Joe,
let me see. I cut my front yard, I cut my backyard, I weed whacked, and I cut my sister's today, but what the hell?
And yet you can't wear a mask for 20 minutes.
You're right, damn it. I sure can. It's like, good God, at least outside I can sweat in pleasure, and I don't care. It's like, oh, just sweating, but yeah, I can't do it in here.
You
I
hear
agree,
that,
but
No,
no.
he sweats in pleasure while he weed whacks.
Oh. All right, we better get off this topic right now. But okay, Nathan, you can bow out for a while. We're gonna cover King of Castle Grayskull. Then you can jump back in when they have any questions.
You know, I wish now that I would have had a toothpick on hand to put in my mouth and throw.
I told you to do that. Why didn't you do it?
He didn't tell me that. He's lying
did
to
too.
everybody.
I told you that. Did you do that yesterday?
No,
Not
that I recall.
Of course not. You know, you must have been drunk, Scott Hall.
Hey, yeah, Scott Hall and I have a lot more in common than you think.
Yeah.
There, he just bowed out.
He's
All right.
like, hey, yo, and then he just collapses.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Jason Bean, thank you for joining us. But King of Castle Grayskull. You were going. Let's just go back to earlier when you were talking when King Grayskull's came up, and you were talking about how there was always maybe different rulers or people that could have been in Grayskull or protecting it. That's the one character that I remember. I don't know how you can get obsessed on a page, but I remember in that mini comic when the spirit of Castle Grayskull was speaking to Tila, and they showed him kind of shrouded out, in that chair. You only seen part of an arm and a leg, and the head almost, you could say, almost looked bald. I know it probably wasn't, but this kind of green character. It was so mysterious. I always wondered, who was this guy? I used to think that he would show up later beyond just that spirit skull that we always seen. But, I'm surprised they haven't tried something like that to expand. Like, let's take, and you know what would be cool? If David Clark's still here, or Grimbot, or any of you, whatever your thoughts would be, I don't know what they have planned with this new Masters of the Universe Origins line. If they would have some good stories involved and planned, because I know they have stuff that Axel's worked on. You see, there's like maybe a 4 or 5 page or something that's within that box set. But I'd like to think that maybe they could expand and we could find out who that character really was, what he did before obviously he died and became that spirit. But I liked it. Like I said, this mini comic, of course, we know that they had to get something out just to promote the toys, which always explains why it seems like it was just everywhere and all over the place. He-Man with a power vest, He-Man with one that's a force field vest. And also, you'd see things that they couldn't show because it was one picture per page. So they would do a lot of describing, but you wouldn't see half that action. Like, the one part I always wanted to see was when Skeletor gets the 2 halves of the power sword. And he knows he's going to go into Castle Grayskull and, open it up. But before that, they describe about how he gets some kind of gray kind of mud onto his skull face. So like gray.
I was like, it kind of feels like it's unnecessary. Like, if you have the key to unlock Grayskull, well, you don't have to disguise yourself. Like,
Exactly. That's what
it doesn't make much sense.
Right, because I was like, why? It's like, if this is the hero, it's like, okay, if He-Man was to show up, would Tila have said, you don't look like the castle,
he's
got
glasses, a big nose, and a fake mustache. And
right, it's like, it was a weird story point they tried to do, but you could tell a lot of it was trying to sell stuff, explain stuff like, oh, I get it. It's, gray clay skull. Like, they're trying to say, that's how they got Grayskull, and it looks like Grayskull. Then it shows about how all the contraptions work, but see, the thing is how we were saying they couldn't really show lots of panels because it was only one per page. The page where he's in the one spot and you would think he has the stuff on his face, he still looks like Skeletor. And then they said when he takes it off or whatever, it's like, but he looked the same in every single panel. It's like you thought they would at least try to draw one panel where he has this stuff on his face. But yeah, that part always cracked me up. And then Tila's like, hey, you look like the castle. Like, okay, yeah, like, come on in. You got the halves. You're going to be the new king or the ruler of the castle. It's like, that felt a little forced. So you could see it. If people, because I know a lot of people like to go to those first 4 original mini comics and say, that's their He-Man. That's it. Those 4, there's nothing past it, meaning none of the Texera mini comics, any of the other Star, Marvel, the cartoon, it doesn't exist. It's like, if you go back and read those 4 mini comics, first 4, there's a lot of confusion. I wouldn't want that to be my entire He-Man universe. I don't know about you, but
no, I mean, there's a lot of great things in this. I mean, pretty much visually, with what Alcala did with depicting a lot of these early elements. Because I feel like I repeat myself so much, but Mattel had no idea. Because if you watch the Power of Grayskull documentary, where they said, oh, we're gonna throw in mini comics and we're doing like a DC mini set. All this stuff was just thrown together, slapped together real fast. Not a lot was thought through just to help sell the product. So I don't fault these stories for not being very coherent because it was just an extra gimmick to throw in with the figures. But the artwork itself tells the story without even actually having to read it, honestly. And it kind of, contradicts, if you read them in order, it contradicts, He-Man and the Power Sword. But, because they're kind of all over the place and still trying to figure out how this mythology works, I forget of all of it, and in that the image of the spirit of Grayskull at one point, I just think, obviously just a throwaway character. If Mattel really liked the idea, I think we would have gone more with it, but he's never heard of again, never mentioned again. The spirit of Grayskull itself does not last long before the Sorceress comes in and just takes over as the guardian of Grayskull, and it's just the fortress of mystery and power. All these great secrets in this castle. There is no spirit of Grayskull, or it's pretty much like capture the flag. Whoever's in control of Grayskull controls the universe, kind of thing. I do like that idea. It's a fun idea. It takes away from the purpose of the Sorceress, but there's a lot of fun elements in this, and I just like a lot of this, like seeing a lot of the use of the gimmicks of the castle. Like, I've always liked this image because it was used in the Sword of Skeletor, where he's sitting in the throne, and this image of him sitting there, and he's got like this kind of royal like blanket on him, and just kind of like relaxing as he sends Teela down the trapdoor. It's a beautiful image, and I always like the one of him being pursued by He-Man and Teela, and he's climbing up the ladder to get up to the top parapet. And honestly, I like seeing fights on the parapets of Castle Grayskull. That's something I tried to get Axel to do that for me. He didn't understand what the hell I was talking about. I just didn't. I guess one of the illustrations I have over here, where the hell is it? Right there.
Grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, grab it.
Well,
you can show us.
Well, I mean, it's if you want to know, it's the illustration that has a He-Man taking an Icer, Karate, Strong Arm, Too Bad, and Jitsu. And I was trying to have them running at the castle or coming up the steps to the parapet, and He-Man's got the Cosmic Key and the Power Sword, and like trying to depict like he's going to be trapped by something. Does he get the hell out of there or what? Just trying to because it's always fun to see a hero in a sense of danger. And I tried to explain that to Axel so much, and it just didn't. And we ended up he ended up kind of throwing it together like this ice material because Icer's depicting it. I wasn't really wanting to limit Icer to just he's an ice character. He can only exist in cold temperatures, much like how Merman is depicted all over the place, not just the sea. That's kind of what I was going for. But I really wanted to have He-Man get ready to fight the evil warriors on the parapet, or he's on the parapet looking down and seeing them rushing the castle or something like that. I just always thought that visual of He-Man fighting Skeletor or someone on one of the two parapets of Grayskull was just. It makes me think of Willow when Mad Mardigan fights General Kale. It's not on a parapet, but they're fighting on this big scaffold bridge up high above the castle, and it's just cool to have a sword fight in that kind of area. And it's at nighttime, and to see He-Man.
I like the nighttime scene. I like that.
I love that. And I like seeing Skeletor use the monitors and Grayskulls, and He-Man's coming. And it's fun to see a lot of these little gimmicks used in the story. And honestly, like if it's one of those things too, like I would like, if someone with, a competent mindset and genuine appreciation for the mythology, like I could appreciate like a new comic book series that has like the basic mythology of what we all know and expect. And then you have a separate one that kind of uses these, original elements, not the stories, but just focus on, maybe a small group, maybe a couple of extra others, but you keep like no sorceress. It's strictly the two halves of the Power Sword, and what happens if Skeletor gets in there, controls the castle.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see it. It'd be curious, like you said, if something like with Origins, maybe you'd get something like that. Not saying they will, but I'd like that.
I would too, and maybe they use some of Mark's original ideas, but like what he was going to put in that book of like what he wanted to go with He-Man. If they were smart, I would like to think they contacted him about that. And wanted to utilize like his original ideas for what he thought He-Man and the Master should have been. So
God, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, beyond what you were saying about how they showed a lot of the things that were in Castle Grayskull, they also described it, like when they were talking about how Skeletor took the elevator up to that next floor, like you didn't see it, but they
like that, yeah.
And see, for me, beyond like you said, new stuff, I always wanted. Even as a kid, when I read these, I wanted more because, don't get me wrong, I love they made us use our imagination. Of course, that's great because kids just seem like they don't use it these days anymore, but we had to picture all this happening. But I admit I have this like guilty little pleasure. I'd love to see these comics, especially seeing after how Axel has drawn in a homage to Alcala style. It's like I would love to see if they took these comics that only were limited to those one pages, and now we could
flesh them
see
out
a little more
bit. Yeah.
flesh them out, see the details, see the stuff that we couldn't see. Let's see Skeletor in this weird panel with this weird, crazy face with this shit and this clay on his face. Let's see the other stuff.
No, we don't need to see that. We don't see He-Man with his multiple power harnesses either. Like, look, some of the
the harnesses.
For a reason I don't.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, the harnesses. No, I understand. We have to see it because they basically look the same. But I admit, I would have liked to seen a panel. You don't have to see him going from here to there, but a description when he does it, and you would see this kind of weird little face, and it's almost then like a revealing. I would understand it instead of, oh, he looks the same in every damn panel.
For some reason, plus making Teela like the guardian, which I kind of feel like, they go from having the goddess, then they have Teela, the warrior goddess, like is the guardian of Grayskull. Like, so I'm saying these stories are all over the place, and I would have preferred like Teela is there, kind of standing guard at Grayskull, like she's pulling a night duty or something like that. And Skeletor comes off as kind of like a feeble old man wearing a gray. If you want to do that and kind of work in that, and then he
like
takes
you said,
it off and reveals.
Right, that's what I mean. First, like you said, there could be an expanding of it, fleshing out. But if they were to just take what we had verbatim of how you have it, but now put in the panels to fill in that stuff. I mean, I'm down for anything. I'd love to have that along with a different fleshed out or new stories. But I think both of them would just be a little bonus. And plus, it would make it a little more fun when you're buying these figures just to have something to look at. Whether you're having one that's just a flesh out of the original or something with a little new. I guess I got greedy. I mean, I think we all have. After seeing what Axel drew, it's like, damn, it got you excited saying, man, it looks like the old days. I hope it feels like it when these figures come out.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at this other one too when Skeletor was firing the laser cannon and seeing all the various planets in the sky, in the night sky. Like, those are just added textures to this universe that it's like you don't have to explain why you see all these planets in the night sky. They're just there, and it just gives an extra flavoring and expansion to this universe of mystery. Don't explain it, just show it. Keep us wondering and make us think about it.
Yeah, because Deucin, he said he wanted me to check on page 15. He said you can kind of see that it looks like a little bit of like a filmation Teela, and I kind of see what I guess he means with the design. But what's funny is through this comic, like you said, they were kind of jumping in a lot of different areas. At some points, you see her as kind of like the redhead with, it doesn't seem like they show a lot of long hair, but it could just be the angle. And in other spots, it looks red and flowing. So they had a lot of different things going on, but you're right. There's, like you said, this nighttime scene, and then showing him using that, the weapon on He-Man, and it's an amazing thing. I think the darkness, that spot, was some of the coolest looking compared to just the brightness of outside. I don't know.
It tells such a story. Like, I mean, my particular favorite is He-Man and Teela, and I like how you see like the very, very early design of Castle Grayskull with like the top on the very tip top of Grayskull.
I forgot what they call that damn thing. I hate forgetting what that was called.
I forget what it's called too. Even on the last page too, where you see, or the very last page of Grayskull, it looks like a very, very early drawing of it. But I just love the image of them chasing Skeletor's climbing up the ladder, and it's just like tons and tons of planets in the sky, and it's at nighttime, and you have this kind of an orange shading on the castle, kind of like maybe a shine for one of the planets in the sky. It's kind of like a moon moonlight on the castle, like. That just this image alone tells you so much. Like, if you just show this to somebody, it just kind of feels like this is what you need to be going for. These epic battles on top of a castle, this amazing universe with skies filled with planets. You don't know like what's really going on in here, other than the heroes are trying to stop clearly what is a villain here. I mean, just this is what you show someone who is, not all that familiar.
Exactly, and I guess the other parts that I'd always said I want to see more is like when you hear, the spirit of Castle Grayskull when he's describing to Teela about where these two halves of the power sword, one being at the highest part and one under like the strongest, like rock. But you wonder, okay, it's half buried in some kind of like rock. Where is this? You find out it's where He-Man built his home, and it's on there. So Skeletor, like takes out Stratos, gets the one where Stratos is at the highest part. Then him and Merman go to He-Man's place, Not like his house. Hey, he's going to let's go to He-Man's house. But they do. They go to He-Man where he's at because Skeletor realized that's where the other half is. But all you see all the description, but you see just Merman, which, yes, it's cool, blasting He-Man when he doesn't have any of his vests on. And Skeletor gets the sword, but it's like, but you don't see it. I would like to see where was the sword, how was it done. I think those are parts that if something like that could have been redrawn to flesh and fill out all the stuff we didn't see, would be cool. And then, like you said, another one to where maybe they could expand upon it, maybe do a little twist to it. But I always wanted so much more, but I think it's probably, well, hell, it's just the art is so captivating. We already know that. If this was something that, if it had ugly art, I could picture most kids looking for a couple seconds and be like, okay, thrown away. They wouldn't have even probably had the urge to learn to read. But a story is kind of being told, but slightly confusing when you're just, seeing certain images. But this art definitely was something that saved the mini comic. Definitely saved.
Yeah, I mean, when I picked up He-Man and Skeletor, like they didn't come with any of these mini comics. It was some of the latter mini comics. I can't remember which two. I only remember the comics that came with my figures on the Christmas of '87, and then after that, I don't remember what came with my He-Man and Skeletor. But I'm pretty certain it wasn't these, because I had no recollection. I didn't actually see any of these books until I think the late 90s, like 98 or 99, when I went to Happy's Flea Market, and there was one of the vendors was selling a Cobra Con. It had the He-Man, the Powers of Mini comic. Holy shit, I've never seen this before. So that was my first time actually seeing these books that looked like little story books. So I just I've never seen this before. I had no recollection of it, and it was completely new to me. And but I feel like they are worth revisiting and giving a little bit more time to enhance the story a little bit, not change it. But I mean, I'd cut out the whole power harness thing and just leave it as like, and no Prince Adam with this. Keep it just He-Man. He doesn't come from a tribe. That's nothing of acts, but just He-Man is this great warrior. Don't explain how he becomes it. He just is. But the idea that he's at home getting ready to settle down for the night, takes the power harness off, and then he's ambushed by Skeletor and He-Man because his power, he doesn't, have the power sword. He just uses an axe and shield, keeping it a little bit limited, just throwing off a great warrior by surprise. Doesn't have to be because his power harness is gone.
Yeah, because what's funny? It felt like definitely, how we talked about how they're definitely mentioning this stuff within Castle Grayskull. So, okay, I got all the selling points of the castle. I understand this. Yeah. But and even the gimmick of the two swords, but with He-Man's power harness and his other one that was the force field.
Go, man.
Right, because what does that benefit? Like, especially when you were playing as a kid, you didn't have two of them. They looked exactly the same. It's like basically, he's a strong guy. This vest here, it protects him and should increase his strength. But to have two, it's like, it's a little redundant. It makes no sense. If they look different,
it makes
but
more
they
sense
don't.
If you have the battle armor. Like consider the battle armor is never gotten
different look. Yeah, because like you said, different looking things. But when you have the same looking thing, but it has two different purposes, it does nothing. It doesn't add to the look of the character or anything. It just causes more confusion. But yeah, this, like I said, it's still a fun mini comic.
It's a blast mini comic. Yeah, I give it A+.
Yeah, I just don't want people to limit themselves to just 4 comics for their whole history of Masters.
Why? I mean, as fun as these are, like, why would you not want to incorporate Clash of Arms or He-Man and the Insect People, or the Powers of Grayskull, or the Search for Keldor, or Hordak, the Ruthless Leader's Revenge? Like,
He-Man meets Rayman, any
of those, or Terror Triclops. Why would you not want to incorporate all of this mythology, at least with the first run of He-Man, in terms of like the stories, like the mini comics outside the duds, like Cosmic Key and Leech and the Montana mini comic, to name a couple of duds, but the majority tell so many great stories, and to not feel like, yes, they evolve with like the inclusion of the Sorceress and the two halves of the Power Sword go. But it just felt like, why would you want to limit yourself? So many great stories and beautiful artwork, and
it expands to everything from the Golden Books to the Star Comics, the DC Comics. There's so much stuff that even the He-Man magazines that had stories within those on those posters. There's plenty of stuff. And what's funny is Grimbot brought up something. Grimbot said, "Search for Keldor should be burned to ashes." Here's a funny thing, Grimbot.
What
is here? You know how you were talking about, Tyler, about, hey, you didn't even know half the time what comics came with what figures. And I admit, even when I was growing up, I just got my figures. I was excited. I ripped them open, took the mini comic, cut the card back art off, and threw the rest of the stuff away. And I always remembered when I was older then, I was like, why the hell do I have so many Search for Keldors? I got more of these than any of the mini comics, but I think that came with quite a few in that wave, correct?
Search for Keldor? It did because, and I maybe that was just like a budgetary reason, because when you've got Clamp-Champ, Scareglow, the Sorceress, Ninjor, Faker, 5
King
characters, and Randor, 6.
Yeah.
6 characters that came out that year, all featured in one book. So yeah, I could, I'm sure a lot of fans at that time, because I only had Faker when that last wave came. That's the only figure I had from that wave at that time. But I had Clash of. I was trying to think if there was.
I thought I had a couple of them. I thought I had 2, but that could just be a coincidence.
I know I had to have had 2 Spikor Strikes because I had Cyclone and Spikor. I'm trying to think of a couple others that I probably had duplicates of. But for the most part, like I had 2 Bad but no Roboto. So I had 1 copy of Battle of Roboto. I had Stinkor but no Mossman. I had Rio Blast. Of course, no one else comes with that one. But you get where I'm going with that. So
yeah, and so that I guess what I'm saying then to Grimbot, which also Who Dat Whale, thank you for joining us. But when it came to that mini comic, it was probably one I almost read more than the others growing up, because I had so many that when I put them in my big stack and I'd start shuffling through, it's like getting a deck of like a lot of Ace of Hearts for some reason. Like, you shouldn't have that many Ace of Hearts, but I was like, God, there's another Search for Keldor, another, and then it made me pick it up and look at it because it was always in my face. So I mean, I enjoyed it, but yeah, I wouldn't say burn it. I'd hope you wouldn't want to burn it. I know you kind of don't like the Keldor
unless
character.
It's like the whole like Keldor Skeletor thing, which to me, I'm like, when I first heard about it, I thought it was kind of interesting, but just kind of lame at the same time. That's probably another thing I would like. No, I don't need to have Skeletor related to He-Man in some form. It doesn't do anything to move the story or raise the stakes between good and evil. It's just like, that's one thing.
As a kid, I'll let you know real quick, not to interrupt, but even as a kid, I never, we know the whole thing. We were waiting for this particular time, and Randor was possibly maybe going to see his brother. We heard about his brother going missing, blah, 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 of Keldor. And then, of course, at the end, boom, Skeletor comes up when he thinks it's going to be his brother. I just thought, Skeletor showed up. Skeletor, for some reason, doesn't want the secret to be out. Yeah, and I never at one point thought, hey, does that mean that Keldor became Skeletor? I never thought that as a kid. It was just, I thought, there's a reason Skeletor doesn't want to know this. Maybe this character, I don't know. What if he killed him? What if this is somebody that had a beef with Skeletor for some reason? But I never said, that's the same character. I never put that connection as a kid.
I didn't either. And then in the early days of He-Man.org, when people were saying that, I felt like, there's not enough evidence to justify this idea. And then, of course, when they interviewed Lee Nordling, who was the editor on these books, and that's on He-Man.org as well, he does confirm that, yes, that's the direction they were going. I'm like, shit. But but prior to that, I just felt like, I'm sorry, guys. I remember going back specifically and rereading Search for Keldor. Like, there's nothing here that says it's just not enough. Like, for whatever reason, Skeletor's just he's being a prick. He's being a bad guy. Doesn't want to find out. But that doesn't mean that he's Keldor. It just to me wasn't enough evidence, and that's probably the reason you don't want to spoil everything when you're going down that way. But when Keldor was going to be a prominent villain, supposedly in the Powers of Grayskull series as well, I think that's what they were going to do, is that Keldor would have been, which doesn't make much sense to make him Randor's. I'm saying some of the stuff, fortunately didn't happen, but I have seen rumblings, and hell, even Emiliano did a poster for a Mad Duck Posters depicting Keldor in the same poster with the 3 towers, Shirella, Hero, and Eldor, which I was like, okay, I'm because I was pretty certain that Keldor was going to be a prominent character in the Powers of Grayskull line, which means Skeletor would have been around during that time as well. Which I kind of feel like when you got characters like Plasmar and Lord Grasp and Terror, even though they weren't really going to be called that, I think those names were just made up for them. But you got new characters like that. Well, Keldor should have been something that I just kind of felt like he had no business in that whole story with Hero and the Snake Men. Like the unnamed one, which was not a Trawlin. God, I hate that character. At least the one that we were given.
Oh, hold on. Let me say something about that.
I remember the unnamed one who
I would say that. I remember when they were hyping
Shit.
this, like, if you guys get a sub, you're gonna get this this special character, the unnamed one, and man, is it gonna be worth it? I remember when that reveal showed, people were like, they were like, the fuck is that? They thought it was a joke. They're like, that's the unnamed one. This is the one that we have hyped up, and oh man, you guys, you better be ready for this. You can't wait to see it. I was like, that it is. It's in that alternate head that has like a helmet. Man, what a horrible looking figure. Horrible. I even have him on my shelf over there. And this is funny. He's not even facing me. All the other characters are facing me. That character is facing the wall because I just don't like looking at him. And the same thing with the Mighty Spector. That character is such an afterthought that I have him in my Castle Grayskull in the dungeon. So he's in my closed Castle Grayskull. I never even see the Mighty Spector in that unnamed one. What a horrible figure.
When that unnamed one came in, because it was part of the sub, I took out the mini comic came with, and I never took him out of the box. I think I threw him away.
You threw away a figure. Wow, that shows that's a hatred there.
It just destroyed a fascinating idea with a shitty idea, making a Trollin. And look, even though Axel drew him, like, I still hate this character. Like, it was just this dumbass idea. And then you got Jitsu as his follower, and like Monster Lock is his follower, or Mega Beast, I forgot.
Let me get this. Let me get this motherfucker.
Oh my god, man! It was just such a terrible idea. People were buying into it.
I got, because for those who maybe don't remember this character or have never seen it, because there are people in the chat room maybe don't have all the classics. I'm gonna show this, and you give your honest opinion. You think of this big badass ultimate character. This is the big bad. You're waiting for the reveal, and you get that. What would you think? Now, first, I want to know if people in the chat room do have this and what your thoughts were. And if you've never seen it, what do you think of this as being the big baddie? Because, God, what a letdown. It's like,
because you have to remember, too, when we read that Powers of the Grayskull mini comic as kids, and you see the unnamed one who King Hiss answers to somebody else, who the hell could that be?
It sure the hell wouldn't have been this back in the day. It would never have been this at all. Oh my god! And PC Cleric said, "Looks like Skeletor had sex with Orko." Hey, well, what's crazy is I made a crossover of that. I don't know if you haven't seen it on Facebook, but if you find my page, I'll show you that. It's Skeletorko. But this is was not what I was expecting. I still can't get over it. This is just such a wretched figure. I'll have to just put this now down. I almost
use it as like a doorstop or something like that, man.
Yeah. That is just a bad figure, but that's our discussion of
Put it down. I hope you people got some good questions to ask, man. God,
so if you have
mood down.
If you have any questions for us at all from mini comics, cartoon, toys, movie, whatever, or anything else, just pop it up right now. We'll answer them, and we're going to bring back Nathan in so he can join us as well. But Tyler, if you have any recommendations, anything, mini comics or cartoons, episodes you want them to watch, go ahead and do it right now while questions pop up.
Something. I'd like, because I would like to revisit. Actually, we have never covered it. I think we discussed it in discussion, but never like an actual one. But I would like to recommend fans to check out Spike or Strikes, which I think is probably the best depiction of Spike. Or he's not in it the entire time, but he's depicted in a very menacing manner, like, destroying your village, just trying to draw in He-Man is a distraction for Skeletor. On the cover, I remember it was so prominent to me as a kid looking at that cover where he's stopping He-Man from approaching Castle Grayskull, because every cover was in front of Castle Grayskull. Even though the story had nothing to do with Castle Grayskull, you had to depict every scenario of the mini comic has got to be using Castle Grayskull in the background, no matter what's going on. And it was such an epic cover to me as a kid, and I didn't like how Cyclone was depicted because he had like human skin, and he just didn't look very good to me. I was like, "Where's the blue skin? It looks kind of dorky in that."
You know what's funny? You saying that, I remember my sister always called Cyclone the blue He-Man. It used to drive me insane. It's like, why do you keep saying that?
His face did look a lot like that. Yeah,
exactly. That took years later, because as a kid, it just upset me. I mean, I knew the swapping of Beastman, Mossman, Stinkor, Merman, but when she said, I was like, that ain't look like He-Man. And then I look at it and I was like, damn, that does look like He-Man. If you paint his face, he probably would look like He-Man. I was like, well, I guess you're onto something. She called him the blue He-Man all the time. But But thanks for that recommendation. T-Dog said, do you think the additional Origins figures that the Four Horsemen worked on will release this year? I would hope so. Because if they're doing the San Diego Comic-Con 2-pack, that'll be, well... Oh, wait, you're going to have to mention that stuff, because Tyler gave me a mind screw on that. I didn't even know what he was talking about with this pre-order thing and then how you get them. But, yes, later in the year, I hope that maybe, let's say, October, November, maybe we'll get the other Origins. Maybe they'll start being released. But, Tyler, describe to them, in case they don't know, about when you pre-order, how you get them, and when you get them, that 2-pack of Prince Adam and He-Man. That was a doozy.
Yeah, it's still, like, I'm trying to explain this. It kind of it still confuses me. But apparently you have to, I guess when they go up, and the only way you can get these exclusives is if you show proof to Mattel at San Diego that you have bought the pre-order, but you only get it if you are going to Comic-Con and show them proof that you have, and your ID badge, which I was like, how the hell do you get into San Diego without proof that you bought your ticket to get in? But then once you show them that you have bought the pre-order and show them your ID for being there, okay, well then they just put you on the list. You don't get anything.
And it's shipped to you, right? Didn't you say then it's shipped?
Yeah, and I don't know when that's going to be. But I thought the whole point of getting a San Diego exclusive is that you get it when you go there. Or if you can't, like how NECA's doing, if you couldn't, if you did buy any of their exclusives, which the few that did get them, they get shipped out to you after San Diego if you're not going there. But with this, no, there was nothing afterwards either. It's you either show up and show that you bought the pre-order. Okay, well, that's great. We'll send it to you later.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
I don't understand the logic in that. And if there's somebody at Mattel that has, maybe they just thought hey, it's like the early bird special where we're going to send you a coupon that says, well, we owe you 2 figures, kind of like they did with Star Wars. And the movie came out, and there was no toys to show for it. So I don't know, but I wouldn't expect the Origins line to come out until probably early 2020. I just kind of feel like with classics, I mean,
yeah, I'm just hoping late. It's possible. It's possible it could be late in the year, then continue into the early of next year.
I would like to think that Mattel being Mattel, they would want to capitalize on the Christmas season or something like that.
Sure. That's why I'd like to see it November, December. It would be nice.
But I mean, I really, unless they are planning to go to retail, which I just kind of feel like Mattel's going to be somewhat skittish unless it's going to be like a Stretch Armstrong kind of nonsense they throw out on the toy shelves and not the figures we are clamoring for. I would assume probably 2020, like first quarter 2020, when they would start hitting the shelf, maybe even after Christmas. But I don't know. It's just strictly speculation, people.
Sure, and we'll definitely be finding out next month. I'm sure. I'm assuming we'd find out something.
If we do not get a reveal of at least 5 to 6 figures from Mattel, because we know we're not getting anything from Super 7. Because last year was pretty depressing. We didn't get anything for Super 7. I mean, it was just like someone died. To not have new He-Man figures in San Diego, I mean, it's really a depressing time. I mean, because the excitement of oh my God, they've announced this guy, and her, and him. Oh, man! And
they're definitely trying to get the hype up, because I think they even in front of, I don't know if it was Mattel or where was that, they had a statue that's been reused. First, to let everybody know, because a lot of people said, why does He-Man have his left arm holding up the power sword? It's because that statue originally was King Grayskull, who was left-handed. Then they altered it, become He-Man, it became Hero, it became He-Man again. That statue has been reused and modified so much, and now he doesn't even have his harness on. It's just him standing in front. I think he's holding the sword, but bare-chested. So maybe it's getting ready, hyping up maybe the new toys, maybe eventually, like you said, the possibility of the movie in 2021. But I like at least there's some buzz being generated. So hopefully that can lead to good things. But
as long as it's not just, hey, we're talking new He-Man. We have no new products to show you, but it's coming, people. I'm feeling pretty confident we will be seeing some new toys, though.
Yeah, we're getting some buzz, and I think next month we'll hopefully see some good stuff. So let's just cross our fingers.
Joe, are you ready?
Boom,
do you want to spin the wheel
to make the deal?
Do you want to, Joe? Do you want to spin the wheel?
Sure, I'll spin the wheel. I don't know what the hell's going on, but sure.
I challenge you. I was in Walmart the other night. I found these and I bought them. And
Okay.
I'm hoping you'll do the same. You eat nasty shit all the time, don't you, Joe?
Send it to me. I mean, go ahead.
Send it to you. No, you just go into Walmart and buy it. It's $5.
Yeah, Walmart.
Yeah,
Walmart
cheap asshole.
God, that's 20
$5.
miles away.
I
Man,
challenge
that's
you.
20 miles away.
Maybe you can find it somewhere else. I challenge you. This is Jelly Beans, Bean Boozled. Comes with this little spinner.
Oh, I did that challenge in Scareglo's house. That is the one things I spit out. I never tasted something.
Oh,
Yep,
see, I
that
didn't
was-
know that. That bumps
Oh,
me
Nathan,
out.
but hey, though, you could do it because I'm telling you, that is the most disgusting thing.
No,
And
my
you know what?
plan, the only reason I bought this was so you and I could go head to head, but I didn't know you already did it.
Well, here, you know what? I'm going to hold my hand up. Now, let me tell you. First, I ate those death nuts, no problem. I ate all them bugs, as you see, no problem. The first challenge I did were those. And you think, Joe, it's not real vomit. It's not real dead fish or spoiled egg. But you know what's funny? I spit them out. And I didn't spin it. I told John, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I will eat these colors until I get the bad one. So, like one that was marshmallow, if I got it, I didn't stop at marshmallow because some people in the challenge, if they got lucky, they'd stop. I was like, I won't eat anything that's in here. When I got it, I chewed it. I was spitting them almost immediately. I mean, I was almost puking and throwing up. That is the worst stuff I've ever tasted in my life.
Damn it. I thought I was on to something.
But, you know, well, would Tyler do that with you? You guys
No,
go
of
ahead.
course
And
not. Tyler's never going to do anything like that.
fuck that. That is what's. Yeah, see, well, the thing is, if I would redo it, you know, I would try to have to top you. So I would sit there and probably eat it and swallow it just.
That, you know what? That's what I want.
What you guys ought to do is you guys ought to pick a video game that you both are pretty good at and have to eat the jelly beans while you're playing and see who can get the better score or win first.
Yeah, but Joe doesn't have the setup so people can watch that. The whole point was, I guess, was to just, I don't know. We would
you know what?
We would just
Maybe
have a stream where we just spin the wheel and see how that
Maybe
happens.
I might still get a set for what the heck. I could try to
well, I mean,
that.
was this also, because it says new flavors on here, did you also have stink bug and dirty dishwasher?
Yes.
Dirty.
Yep.
Oh, well, never mind.
Hey, but Nathan,
$5 wasted.
You two have hyped up stuff that just fell flat tonight, haven't you?
Wah, wah. Yeah, me and my brand new mask. I got it for $2.50 and I modified it, and it was hotter than this. Believe it or not, I'm even sweating in this. This is what's crazy. I'm not even sweating now with this. It's bizarre, but I was sweating with that one. But it was $2.50. But no, what you just said there with those, you could still do it. I could still get another one, and I could still try to eat them. But they are horrible.
I kind of figured they would be. I mean,
when you called the one dirty dishwasher, just to let you know, I know it's dishwater.
Water. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody that's done this challenge, every time they said that word, they said dishwasher.
Yeah.
It's like a habit. I even said it. I was saying dirty dishwasher, but
Tyler, here are the potential flavors that you can get: a stink bug, dirty dishwater, rotten egg, toothpaste, barf, canned dog food, booger, spoiled milk, stinky socks, or dead fish.
You guys paid money for this shit?
Yeah, I did.
They sent it to me as a challenge. The thing is, I devoured all the blue ones because it was either blueberry or toothpaste. I was like, I don't care if it tastes like toothpaste. It would get rid of the bad taste out of my mouth. But them other things I've never tasted. I mean, the booger, who knows what, I mean, you know what I mean? You'd have to know what it tastes like to say, you know what? Hey, Jim, this taste test, this isn't like a booger. And he goes in his, you're right. We got to add a little more of this. It's like, who taste tests for a booger? God, that's bad.
Maybe they got booger
but
for
thanks for that.
The nerds, that do samplings and stuff like that.
But Joe,
why do people call you booger? I don't know.
I think you should get another one, and we should do that just for shits and giggles.
Okay.
Because I mean, most of that stuff's usually like a Facebook thing, right?
Yeah, but
or
I
you
can
guys
do that. I can do that
time yourselves. Who could down the box faster and time?
No. We got to draw it out because it's got the spinner. So we spin, and then you have the opportunity to actually get one of the good flavors, or it could be one of the bad ones.
So I'll some like Halloween Havoc. Spin the wheel, make the deal.
Well, that's what I was going for, but then Joe ruined it because he's already done it, and I didn't know.
Sorry. All right, but we'll get to it. Adam Gabbard said, Joe, Tyler, Nathan, what are your thoughts?
Whatever. F you. Get out of here.
Nathan's like, yeah. But Adam Gabbard said, Joe, Nathan, Tyler, what are your thoughts on seeing like the vintage, your thoughts on vintage Masters of the Universe commercials for figures? Oh, man, I love those. It's, I liked even watching like the kids, because you ever notice how the kids would act whatever was happening, like when one was trying to be Skeletor, making that kind of mean looking face, when the one was being Fisto and got frozen, it goes like that. I used to love watching the kids almost as much as the figures, but I'd go so nuts because I couldn't wait for the figures to come out, and then even when I'd get them, I would just watch them over and over. I love when they would just introduce when they would introduce the Horde or the evil Horde and the Snake-Man and the Slime Pit. Oh God, damn!
I've watched those
are
commercials a lot. There's like a 20-minute compilation video, and then there's a few others that are not in that video. But like the Clamp Champ versus Ninja one, there's one of He-Man taking on like the villains from the '87 wave that's attached to like a 80s commercial compilation at the end of a GI or like a commercial break on a GI Joe episode. But I mean, yeah, there's some kick-ass commercials. But I love the bumper, like when the Mattel logo busts open and then the Horde come out on like this pedestal with smoke coming out. The evil Horde coming soon.
Yeah. Oh
soon.
God.
Or Modular, you know,
Yep.
It's Cyclone, where he's like, use your ruling powers to investigate, and you get the cool smoke, and the kids like, you can't stop my whole evil army.
I mean,
Great.
Who didn't love any of those cartoons?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't watched Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon. Is this still a thing anymore? Like with the toys that they put out, do they still produce commercials for toys anymore? Like,
I do, but I'm sure they're not.
Like the 2012 Turtles cartoon, like that. I know they did a couple commercials for that, but for the most part, of course, I haven't watched cable TV in God knows how long. But what little I did, I didn't see hardly any toy commercials.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably a thing that's just lost to time now, because with the internet, anyone can go and look at anything. But how cool was it anyway? Just you're watching your cartoons, whatever it may have been, and then you get that and you see like new stuff, and they're coming out with that.
Yeah. Like I said, not sitting around watching cartoons on TV anymore. I don't know how their commercials are quality-wise. I know they still do it. I just remember being so disappointed at the lackluster 2000X commercials. There was very few.
They barely played them. Like I think maybe once,
and there was only a couple.
Twice I saw them.
Yeah, you barely seen commercials, and what was shown was it was nothing. It wasn't exciting at all. It's sad, but yeah, the stuff from back in the day, God, who wouldn't love it? Even the Master Power, when they would try to do the different, Master Power. Some guys got it, some guys don't. Oh, yeah, the good shit. But thanks for that, Adam. Grimbot said, how do you feel? Oh, yeah, this sucks. He said, how do you feel about Filmation being once again off limits? I didn't know what he meant, but he said apparently that they're not going to be focusing on Filmation characters. That I think, because if that's what he's saying, they're off limits. So in these 5.5-inch figures for Origins, you're not going to see characters from the Filmation cartoon. Apparently, I think that's what he said.
I think also too, I saw a post from James Talk that kind of alluded to the fact that he was thinking that he might be done with the problem because of the Filmation. So you guys would know more about it than I would.
I mean, I other than what James posted, that's news to me. But
is this all just a ramp up because of the movie? Is this sort of like that main shift? That's the catalyst for the whole thing.
Well, if they're trying to focus strictly on the figures themselves and leaving it more of an empty palette, so when the movie comes out, you just see, just the characters. You don't have the mythology of the Filmation cartoon behind it, because maybe in this new movie there is no Prince Adam. It's just strictly He-Man. But that can't be the case because we're getting a Prince Adam with his. I don't know what they got. They're just I'm sure with Mattel, they're just someone there. It could be they don't like Filmation and want to dismiss it, or they just feel like we want to do a brand new thing, which would have me worry more than anything.
Yeah, because with the continuity, you could say with the Prince Adam, remember, that's like, pre-Filmation. That's with, the DC Prince Adam. So I don't know if they're trying to, combine a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
but
it could be just trying to keep, distance themselves from something like that. But, that if they were, like so many people would say, why would you want to dismiss the hardcore fans? Because that's something we all kind of embrace, being He-Man fans as well. It's like, well, why not take away the Power Sword? It's just as important part of the mythology too. But hopefully, I'm not going to jump to conclusions until we actually see what Mattel has what they have in store for us. Well, once we see that, then I'll make my assessments based on that. So
Yeah, because it's like I said, I'm curious, very excited to see what comes, and I hope my expectations, good gracious God, I hope they are met, because I haven't been that excited for a line in a while. So we'll see what it is. We'll see what kind of stories I got. And T-Dog has a question, which I'll be honest, I couldn't remember, because I know that okay, T-Dog says, what happened to the gems that were the eyes of Castle Grayskull? I know that whole goofy storyline started first with those on that Comixology website, when they had those comics for the new Masters of the Universe stuff there, before they started, eventually printing them out, because I know they eventually, you could buy it in physical form.
You mean like
all
those digital comics that came out where they had
the digital comics? Yeah, the Eye of Chaos or Time or something. But I just remember it wasn't that appealing. It just, I didn't flip over. I did enjoy when Axel eventually, when I always said for it was a Smallville issue, when he drew he knows my love for Meteorbs. I got to give a shout out to Axel Jimenez, because I appreciate what he did. He knows my love for the Meteorbs, and he also knew that I did one called Skeletor. I made a custom of Skeletor as a Meteorb, and he drew, I think it was Chloe's kid in the Smallville comics, or it might have been her kid. He's at a computer desk, and when he was sitting there on the computer, you see Meteorbs laying around, and he drew Skeletor in that Smallville issue for me, and that was awesome. And then that came into physical form, and I got it. So I wanted to thank him for that. That was years ago, but yeah, those digital comics, I didn't go nuts for them. They're just kind of, yeah. You're right. We had a thing with Sir Laser-Lot. We had a lot of goofy one with Orko. Yeah. So I don't know. I'll be honest.
Land, like doing her, they were just terrible, because they were tying in with all that DC bullshit that they were doing with the New 52 and redesigning everybody. And
I didn't flip over it, but T-Dog,
it was bad. I mean,
yeah.
People don't take it personal. I'm saying I just hated it. I didn't like where they're going with it. I didn't like the designs.
They like it.
Yeah,
no problem.
That's cool, but yeah, I thought they were shit. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's not slamming people who like
it. No, it's just funny how you're just like, yeah, if you like it, it's cool. I thought they were shit.
Yeah, they were.
That's complete deadpan.
I mean, that's what makes us the FOP, on this podcast. We are the bad boys of podcasting. We're going to say whatever the hell we want, but we're also going to be nice to you.
Oh, wait. So if you say we're the bad boys of podcasting now, we transition to the wolf pack?
No. There will be no splitting off of factions where Nathan's like, I've had enough with you guys. I'm going to be all too sweet. I'm going to start my own He-Man podcast.
All right. I'm going to go find Ozone and bring him back.
Ozone's pumping on the vape. Hey, man, I'm back. They're going to be... And then collapses right there on the podcast.
Remember how over Conan was, and he just said the same shit?
I hated Conan so much. Viva la la! Like, shut the hell up, man. You ain't no rapper.
Yo, let me speak on this.
But I did like when he had like his rap video, and then he feuded with Disco Inferno, and Disco Inferno like made fun of it and started showing up in the video, like superimposed himself into it, just like spinning around and like doing crappy dances. It was great.
Who would have thought we'd ever have a Disco Inferno reference on this show?
Man.
All right.
The Joel sequels on this podcast. Anything goes. It's just like Monday Night Nitro. Anything can happen because it's live, people.
Oh gosh. Well, Who Dat Whale said, sorry if I already asked, but Tyler and Joe, how excited are you for the classic movie figures? Oh, I mean, that's...
Well, thank you for leaving me out of that question. I appreciate it.
And Nathan. Well, you probably weren't in here when he asked that question.
And what kind of a listener is he if he has not listened to,
I'm just...
like when they were announced.
Yeah, he understands. I'm just giving him hell. But no, I'm excited for him. Those should be shipping fairly soon, right? Yeah.
Real soon,
it's supposed to come out in August, right?
That's what we were told, but
supposedly.
Yeah.
But I'll make the space for him.
I don't know if it's to June 30th, but for those who are wanting to get that Toxie figure in the pre-order on Super 7, they have
I've already pre-ordered mine.
All right, they have Toxie and Voltron, and I think they said they'll ship in 2020. I don't know if it was February 2020.
Yeah, what the hell? 2020 February? Like, what?
Yeah, that was quite a long time. I seen that too.
But we get a pre-order for Conan and the movie figures earlier this year. We get them this summer, but Toxie's like, next year.
How much was shipping? Was that still $15?
It was $45 total.
Okay.
So you guys can go to Super 7's website and you can pre-order for the Toxie figure and Voltron, whichever one you want, or both. So, and Fedmon, to go back from what we said earlier, because like I said, we're still trying to catch up. They said that supposedly that those figures that you would get at San Diego Comic-Con are supposed to ship 1 week after. So we'll see, and hopefully they would do that for people. Ryan said, "Are Super 7 going to give us a Filmation Rayman?" I don't know if what's going to happen with Super 7.
I would not expect anything like that in the near future. Yeah.
Yeah, because
it's looking like after Snake Mountain, Super 7. It seems like Super 7's done with Masters.
Yeah,
that's the vibe that everyone's kind of rumbling about right now.
Right, it's stuff. Yeah, like it's something I would want to say too, but I guess we'll just find out. But yeah, it looks like that might be it. Zen Brown said, "Yeah, did you see the Stretch Armstrong, He-Man, and Skeletor?" Yeah, we did. At first, I thought it was just I don't know. I thought it was a Photoshop job, but apparently they are doing that. They've done it with WWE style, like characters, and now they're going to do it with He-Man.
Kid doesn't want a Roman Reigns Stretch Armstrong for their birthday?
I never liked it. Me and Tyler talked about it. I never even liked Stretch Armstrong as a kid. I never found the appeal, but hell, if it's something to get out there with some merchandise and just hype up Masters, cool. But yeah, they look kind of nothing that I'd flip over.
It just kind of dumbs it down when you think you can just expand it to other gimmicks. Like I get like a Hot Wheels car when they did it with the 2000 X-Land, like. That I thought was like, okay, I mean that's cool. I had no problem with that. I bought those, but like a Stretch Armstrong, like that's just silly.
You know what's funny?
It's just another variant, Tyler. You love the variants.
Oh, I'm all about the shitty variants. Oh man, I don't have a Skeletor. I better get it.
You know what I find humorous about that Stretch Armstrong for the Skeletor one is when you look at the face. It almost looked like MYP Skeletor. It's bone white, has a different look. I was like, oh, that's the only way we can get a real MYP Skeletor is in a Stretch Armstrong variant. I was like, no figure. We can't get a figure of that character. I can't stress that enough. I was like, that would have been one badass looking figure to have for the 2000 X line, or even if they did a Staction, or hell, even when they were doing classics. Give us a real MYP Skeletor. Never got him. Probably will never happen, but yeah, I figured I'd say that. Zentron said for you, Tyler, just to let you know, no movie quote tonight. Just giving you a break. So he's giving you a break this week.
Well, thank you for not giving me another brain buster of some obscure line that doesn't really stand out from the assortment of Mel Brooks films or Superman 4. He just doesn't. He's like, you need to go back to quote school there, buddy. That's what you need to do.
There you go. Well, Ryan, I think giving you a little hard time, said when we were back talking about those Bean Boozled, he said you could do a nasty pea protein flavored. He doesn't mean pea piss, but like peas. A nasty pea protein flavored shake with Tyler as a challenge.
Yeah, I mean probably because dude doesn't eat any sort of
I don't eat vegetables. I don't eat vegetables.
What the?
Yeah, so no, I'm not taking that challenge. I'm not going to just. What do I get out of that challenge? Just say I did it. I'm like nah. I got to be good. You have to motivate. I'm not going to just eat shit for free like Joe does. I need to be doing. I need to be getting a reward for putting my body through it.
So basically, you have to stroke his ego to make him eat this stuff.
No, give me something. Give me a toy. Give me some money.
What?
Give me a
no.
Give me a.
If anything, we should be giving Joe the money for eating the tarantulas and shit.
I didn't ask him to do that. It's just like I can't make. I'll eat animals. Bugs. Next thing you know, Joe's gonna be biting the head off chickens next, just to see what it would taste like.
I'm sure he probably has.
No, haven't done that. Could be interesting though.
He's eating all the other parts of the chicken.
Hearts, gizzards, everything.
How about
I'd say yes, feet. Those are good. They really are good. No, I'm telling you. I mean,
everything's good when you deep fry it, right, Joe?
Well, if you deep fry or you flavor it up with a lot of good seasoning, but yeah, those are great. I'm telling you, when you take chicken gizzards and hearts, and then you flour them and you put some breadcrumbs on them and fry them in butter with some like Lowry seasoning.
Now we put him in the zone. Now he's like starting to.
You imagine Joe like his own cooking show on like the fans of Power.
Hey, that would honestly that would be pretty good. Ryan says we'll give Tyler some Bitcoin for eating pea protein because Tyler doesn't know what Bitcoin is anyway. So yeah, that's the joke.
Like a scam. So I'm like,
it's not a scam.
Well, I'm sorry, you're not gonna.
Tyler is the pickiest eater I know. Out of everybody ever in my entire life.
And I own it. I am a picky eater, so I'm not doing any of this.
He eats like the same 2 or 3 things every week, and I'm just like, how's he do it?
I eat turkey burger 4 to 5 times every day, 7 days a week.
Can't, man. I would get sick of it. Like I ate on my.
I eat for fuel and results. I don't eat for fun and flavor. It's just to keep myself in shape. I'll have fun food every so often.
Are you Christian Bale in Equilibrium? You just take the pill and you just don't feel anything? What's wrong with you?
when I'm hungry, I'm just glad to have the food that I have, and I'm ready to move on to
Joe,
my next,
Joe,
work
bag me up here. Like the flavors, man. Like I'm not like a food snob of like,
Hey,
oh well, this doesn't
I'm
doesn't
different.
taste. But
Well,
There
Nathan,
are
I do it.
there are healthy condiments and flavorings you can put on the stuff. I just don't like them. You know,
No,
you
everybody's got different tastes.
Yeah,
Like you
I
said,
like-
some maybe not as much more. Now, Tyler has his way where he doesn't flip so much for all the taste, but I'm sure yes, he's going to taste it to what's good. Me, I go to an extreme that's not healthy because I lick. No, here, any chip you give me, I've done it since I was a kid. I lick them. I like licking and getting all the flavor off, then chewing because I figured I ain't getting that taste. If I take a
This looks like a
Dorito,
mating ritual between Joe and his date. Like he's
yeah,
gonna happen.
with his mask on.
Can you imagine like Joe's on a date and he just plops down like a bag of Doritos and he like pulls one out
you
and
want to
like
lick these with me?
and the chick's like, oh, and Joe's like,
I'd do it too.
There's no talking. It's like
yeah.
It's,
No,
like
it's just like slurping and weird noises.
he's got like a
She
fake
thinks I'm
ponytail, like he's Antonio Banderas, like a puffy, Hispanic dance shirt,
And she thinks I'm trying to do something sexual. It's like, no, that's really how I eat.
and he's
But,
got like
man,
a
what's funny-
mariachi band behind him playing in the background while he pulls out like a really hot pepper. And,
Joe, I was watching Dick Tracy last night, and the kid when he's there at the table with Dick Tracy and his girlfriend, he's like eating the pork chop he's got with his hands. I was like, it's Joe. It's like a kid.
I'm telling you, if you want to enjoy a steak, man, I don't sit there. Like I said, I don't cut it because when you're cutting it, losing all the juices, I just pick it up, bite it. That juice is all in my mouth. I don't like losing flavor. See,
you're
Tyler,
like a werewolf in Paris when he's like sucks like the blood out of the raw steak, like that.
But I'm
He
being
would do
serious.
that. I think Joe is a werewolf.
No, this
might
is
be.
it's
He's
not.
he's a mob boss werewolf.
It's not a gimmick. It's
Sony.
yeah, like I said,
Sony, where are you, man? Like we can
when
write
I
you.
say
We can write you a treatment, and it's there. It's
and
done.
you can cast Seth Rogen to play Joe Amato. He's like
Exactly, and he can go ho 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 ho.
I smoke.
No, but
pot.
seriously, when I say it's not a gimmick. It's not a joke. That's how I've always done it. I love licking stuff. But the one time it kind of backfired was 2 weeks ago when I got this bag of Pocky chips, and it's not the one chip, but Pocky does have bag chips of like their ghost pepper, so it's still pretty hot. And when I was eating them, I would lick, and I was like, this just tastes great. And when I was swallowing, my throat wasn't burning, my stomach wasn't. 5 minutes later, though, I never felt my tongue so on fire because I kept licking the spices. But here's how I'm so stupid and just stubborn. I kept doing it, and then I went to the bottom of the bag and it had all this powder, and I just, oh God, I love eating that
I
powder.
know Joe probably doesn't have a stomach or intestines anymore. They burned away, and it's just a hole there, like just this. He probably doesn't even shit. He just, I don't know what happens. Like it just everything burns off.
I kind of feel like Joe is the epitome of like shitting the first bite while he's taking the last.
Yeah.
I love my flavor. So there's that. But thank you for that. Sportimus finally joined us. So thank you for joining us, Sportimus. And Sportimus' question was, if you had the chance to do it all over again, would you still buy Masters of the Universe? And what would you do different? Well, I'm going to tell you what. You bet your ass. Well, of course I'd still buy Masters as a kid if that's what he meant. I'd never not buy it. I love it. And I wouldn't do anything different. I love that whole experience, everything I went through, all the figures are the things I would have wanted that would come out. You know how we always talk about Hero, Eldor, Giganosaur, and the Giants coming here. That would have been great if we got them in the United States. But I wouldn't change that experience I grew up with for anything in the world. That was best times of my life probably growing up, was enjoying Masters and buying it.
I don't understand the question. Like,
I think the only thing I would do differently is, I think we had stressed this before. If I could go back in time and do that, I would definitely buy them all and keep them carded and buy another set and have them loose. And probably be a dick face and sell them on eBay.
you stole what I was going to say.
And then if I didn't get what I wanted for them,
I'm sorry, man. I don't know what happened.
It must have got lost in the mail. Sorry, man.
All right. Well, Sportimus had another question. It said, when you three were kids, what toys did you play with your friends most often? He said, I did not have any friends that had Masters of the Universe, so for him, it was Transformers and G.I. Joe. For me, it was Masters of the Universe and Transformers because my one buddy, Corey, had everything. And I remember just being in awe because you know, first we could only afford one line. That was my thing. But I loved going over his house, and he had, I mean, like Fortress Maximus. I mean, he had all the big things you could think of, and I was like, how the hell are you transforming half the stuff? I didn't know what was going on. The only transformer I had, I think, was who was it? I think I had Prowl. I think that might have been my only transformer. But
it's a cool one to have, though.
Yeah, I just didn't know what was going on. I was like, how did you do that so quick? It just seems so simplistic. I was like, hey, for me, I could just open up Stone Darn Rockon. And I thought I was a genius when I was doing the Meteorbs.
And then Joe's like Charlie Brown walking home feeling like a loser.
Man, but there's just so many cool things, from the giant stuff to all the little cassette tapes that you'd have, and you know when he Ravage, and all that shit, Laserbeak. I was like, look at these cool little cassettes that would do it too. So that was some cool shit. I guess I played Transformers at my friend's house and He-Man at mine. I don't know about you guys.
When it came to like actually playing with toys, I didn't really do that with friends. Most of the playing with friends was like outside doing stuff, whether it was the kickball, whatever. When it came to the figures, and Tyler and I talked about this, like I would play a little bit, but I didn't want to like damage the paint. So for me, just like it is these days, even as a kid, I would take them and display them and would just like sit there and like look at everybody. Maybe that makes me kind of weird, but I never played with my figures too much because I didn't want to damage them and mess up anything. But for me, it was mostly, I had some master. I was kind of all over the place. It was some Masters, some Thundercats, mostly like hand-me-down stuff that like my mom's uncle, like when his kids got older and they didn't.
What about Turtles?
Yes, yeah, Turtles for me was the main thing, but like Masters, Thundercats, some of the other stuff were kind of like hand-me-downs. They're finding them at yard sales. They're finding like discounts at local department stores. But Turtles was the main thing, but I was never a thing with friends, because part of that too is being the only child, not trusting
spoiled
other
rotten.
people.
We get it.
Not trusting other people. Well, not only that, but Tyler also had a story that he brought up when we did G.I. Joe yesterday, that he had a figure and his friends in the back seat were like playing with, like, ha ha ha, like joking around, and they actually broke it in half. So,
I would have lost my shit.
So I always was just nervous around other people playing with my toys. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, let's go do other stuff. Don't touch my shit.
I got you. What about you, Tyler?
I was more inclined to just see what other my friends had. We never actually sat in the floor and played He-Man or G.I. Joe or Turtles or Thundercats. It was, if I went to a buddy's house, it was looking at what toys he had and just kind of like, oh man, he's got Lion. Oh man, he's got Tex-Hex. Oh man, he's got all these He-Man figures I never owned. Oh, look at all these G.I. Joes. It was pretty much like examining what other people had, and then we would play outside or play a video game or something like that. When I play with my toys, I was always playing my own little. Even my brother, I didn't like playing with my brother's toys because if he had a character I wanted, like, it's no fun for me because I don't own it. It's not mine, so therefore I couldn't play with. It had to be something I own, and I'm not playing my own little adventure with anybody else. It is strictly me. Playing as the villains, playing as the heroes. Yep. And that is it. Nobody bother me. Leave me the hell alone. Yeah. And I'll take my blanket and bunch it up like this with my G.I. Joes, or put them in Castle Grayskull, or the Turtles are going to fight.
But you were also very careful with your figures as well. Mm-hmm. You also didn't want to damage.
I didn't play in the grass or the dirt and bury them up like one of those little bastard kids that take BB guns. And then go shoot cats after that.
I remember that. No, you're right. It's a lot of the kids. You're right. They like playing rough with them. So my stuff never went outside. It was always inside. And I had friends that when they would take figures, they would. It's like, no.
Like,
you are not.
Yeah,
especially when there's gimmicks with them. But I remember when they come over, I was like, you're not smashing my figures together, which is why I remember distinctly how I would play with anybody that came over. One of us had Grayskull. One of us had Snake Mountain. We would line up all the evil warriors, all the heroic warriors on their castle, and that's when I always told you the story. We take Battle the Ram, take turns, have 3 missiles to shoot down, and whoever shot down all the other person's enemies won the battle. But that's how we played. I was like, you are not going to be smashing my figures. And it was cool because then we'd have some people on Grayskull off to the side, and it was on the carpet, so it had to be good aim. that was fun. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I remember like, no, you ain't playing rough with my stuff.
Well, isn't it kind of interesting that the three of us are pretty much exactly the same way? And like Tyler and I've known each other since high school, but we didn't grow up together or anything.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's kind of cool that we all have that same mentality of just not
Because
wanting
besides the laser characters that I have up there, when I always say my vintage collection up there is mine, yeah, that's mine. That's all my stuff still from my childhood, and they still have all held up, knock on wood. So yeah, I try to treat them as good as I could. So all right, and Fedmine want to know if Nathan, will you and Emily be doing any arcade streaming tonight? That means no. Okay, Grimbot said. Yeah, Grimbot said, "What do you guys think of the new She-Ra dolls?" Well, for the kids that want, them,
yeah,
cool. It's just, it's nothing that I'm gonna buy. But
I think that if you watch that show and you enjoyed it, it's nice that you are getting some form of merchandise that you can buy and have. But
yeah, they're not cartoon accurate though. Cartoon accurate, because if it was, She-Ra wouldn't have any lips. It would just be a line for a mouth, a line for the nose. So the doll that they released actually has a set of lips. Oh my God, like human beings have, that men and women have lips. Oh, the horror. So but for those who want to get it,
Grim 2 just popped in the chat. Nothing to say about She-Ra's lips, Joe, right as you're talking about it. So that's
no kid. There you go. And Kevin Sharp.
Yeah.
Kevin Sharp said, "What's up? Sorry I'm late." So Kevin Sharp is here. Of course, I don't know how long ago that was.
Well, Tyler demands a public apology and $500.
I certainly do. So, Kevin, where's my layout? He knows what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to scroll down. Let me see. Jason Bean said the Loyal Subjects is going to announce their San Diego Comic-Con exclusive soon, hoping that Buzz-Off, Grizzlor, and Hordak are finally shown. Yeah, we'll see, because we know that there was a lot of other characters that should be coming, so hopefully they won't take as long as, well, it did before, because that
I just
other
wish
way
they weren't $13 to $15 a piece. That's my only problem with them.
At least now, though, you're seeing what you're getting, so you're not blind boxed. Because that sucked. You remember, I want this character.
That's a dumb strat. I mean, like, kind of cool in a way, but overall, like, if you're planning to collect all,
if that was marketed towards kids, and you're talking like $2 or $3 a piece, like how the trash bag bunch, when they marketed that, when you got a trash bag and you had to take it home, dissolve in the water to see who you get for like $1 or $2, fine. But for $15, eat my ass.
Yeah, that's no, really, that's a lot. I remember, man.
I'm gonna clip that one of Tyler just saying, "Eat my ass."
Did you see all the people though in the groups that just bought those things just religiously? They kept wanting to get a certain character, and they were spending hundreds of dollars.
And I got a mystery one here, $200, man. Who could it be? I don't know.
It's just so much money.
And then they don't ship it to them.
Yeah, I wanted $300.
Thanks,
like I said, all the people that were stuck though, with so many extra trap gels, so many extra triclops, and then they're hard to sell when you're trying to resell them. So yeah, that was not a fun experience. And yes, Sportimus, you're right. They changed the size of the Loyal Subjects. They're doing a different design and even more articulation with them. And a lot of people that wanted to stay consistent with the aesthetics of the original wave, now you got different sizes and looks and
pulling a band out.
Yeah, so I mean, it's still cool. They still look cool, but yeah, a lot of people
are. That when you say something, Joe's like, yeah. So he just gives you a bullshit.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Yeah. I don't want to think about those Thundercats.
Yeah.
Because I know you're probably referring to the Thundercats Bandai, and that was.
But you just don't give me at least the dignity of like, I know what you're talking about, Tyler. It's just So, Nathan was because I told him you got to do this with Joe, because Nathan says anytime I have a conversation, Joe goes, yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, oh, wow.
Do I do that?
Oh yeah. By the way, thanks, such and such. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
I did that to Nathan. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, wait, did you hear that? He's like, I'm sorry. I'd like to see what his face looked like under the mask when he said that.
Yeah, he's probably smiling like, I'm sorry, you son of a bitch.
Hey, no, I truly, I want to say, if I ever seemed like I disregarded anything you two say, I don't mean that.
No. Don't get all sympathetic. It was strictly done as a joke. Because
I just want to make sure.
I know you do that, so it's like, you have to do it to Joe tonight.
Do.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right. See, I'm acknowledging, but no, that I think is...
Yeah, yeah.
He did it again.
Yeah, a nervous tick. Like, So anyway, like whatever you people are saying in the chat room, you guys are, it's like you're creating a nervous tick for Joe's. Like, oh my god, like, if I don't say this, he's in here. Did you know that? I'm sorry, Tyler. What were you saying? You know, Joe does his best to make everybody in the chat room like Mr. Hunt, you are special. Which I'm glad everyone turned up. But Joe will interrupt whatever the flow we have on here to announce they have arrived.
Well, thank you guys for being here. Well, really, we do appreciate it.
It's just
we're just giving Joe hell. That's all we're doing.
Yes, that's all it is. Joe, do not.
Now we're gonna get a message midweek. He's like, I can't be on the show this week.
Yeah.
I have to,
no.
I have to think. I have to reflect. And he's gonna be sitting there with like a really tiny candle, and he's just like pointing his fingers like over the flame.
Yeah, that sounds kind of fun. No, I do try to acknowledge everybody because I feel bad.
Bam!
I would feel bad if I just missed anybody. I'd never want to do that. And I know because
Joe, you're taking this too seriously. It was strictly just poking fun here, dude.
If Joe misses you in the chat, make sure you leave a comment down below and be like, Joe,
I demand $500 in a written apology.
This is the worst thing that's ever happened in my life,
and I'm unfriending you. And
thank you for doing this to me, you piece of garbage.
Exactly. Like, I just lost 500 friends on Facebook. How the hell did that happen? But, yeah, I tried something different tonight, and that backfired with the mask, and then I go back to this. I still can't believe I'm not sweating with this
I mean, you know what? Like, between the mask and these right here, like, I'm with you, Joe.
It's been a colossal failure for you guys, but
damn,
outside of you guys, I've completely shined on this episode.
Because I had no issue. Tyler's shining. I'm failing with this mask because I had no issue showing my mouth because I was like, I already did that in the eating challenge. So I was like, well, this is nothing different, but that really should have worked. This nose guard right here, this part should have worked, but it just, I guess it suffocated me.
I mean, it would probably help if you had like some form of airflow in that room.
If only something would arrive sometime soon.
Dun, dun, dun. Should I give this away? Should I eventually?
No.
You may want to try it again.
Maybe when winter comes.
It. I mean, come on. Don't
Well, when winter comes, when it cools off, I'll put it back.
Yeah, when it cools off, I'm like,
we're gonna get Joe a fan. We're gonna get Joe a fan. If you guys don't offer to do it, I looked at some on Amazon, reasonably priced. We're getting them shipped.
Hold on. Wait, Sportimus said, Joe missed me last week in the chat room and made me cry. And then Zen Brown said, this might be payback for Joe roasting Tyler and Nathan last week. I had somebody message me.
What a roast that was.
Yeah, his fighting roast.
Can I say something?
Whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what's funny? I did have somebody message me, though. They said, you sounded way too detailed when you described choking Nathan and everything. Like you thought. Right. I was like, and of course, I don't want to choke Nathan. But
Joe's a good guy.
Like Nathan is so helpless. Like, oh God, is like Joe's choking Nathan just lays there.
I'd kick him in the dick.
So no, I do not want to choke Nathan at all. So just to get that out there. But all right, well, I think that might be it. So
what I would. All right then.
Yeah. You think about you remember in Black Dynamite when he's just staring off to the camera, like looking dead.
I love that.
That's what I think of Joe when he's like thinking about strangling me or something. He's just like staring off.
Where he's just gone off on her and then is looking off to the side and everybody's looking. That could have been my moment. Oh Jesus. Okay. Well, I wanted to thank
no more
everybody.
Questions, people?
No, that's it. We got all of them.
All right.
But I did want to thank everybody that was in the chat room. Hope you enjoyed watching and listening to us this week. Anybody that's new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell so you can always be notified when we go. Because it could be any time. It might not be Sunday. It might be Saturday. It could be any day. But it was great. Hope you enjoyed it. So until next time, have a powerful day.
What's wrong? Gun jam?
I feel like I should know these every week, and
Yeah, one more time.
What's wrong? Gun jam?
Damn. Don't know that. Let's get the good 20-second that we usually give, 20, 30 seconds. See if somebody in the chat room gets it. Damn, I don't have a clue on that.
I'm going to cheat and use the Google machine.
He probably will. He's like, oh, man, I should have known that one. I bet it won't even come up if you do it.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense now. It always makes sense every time. You know what? I should probably just telegraph it based off of like the conversations that Tyler and I have, and when I see him change his cover to on Facebook or whatever he alludes to, because it always ties in with that. And I probably shouldn't have said that.
Not
Now it
always.
gives it
Not
away.
always. Like when I did the True Lies quote with you when Joe went AWOL, I hadn't watched True Lies recently. It just popped up randomly, so that's not always the case.
Sportimus says Shrek 2.
Said Frozen. Well,
Shrek
first
2, the movie sucked. No.
First, Sportimus said Frozen, and then Zen Brown said, "Fuck was that?"
I'm gonna.
Sportimus said,
I'm gonna go with the classic Olsen twins Steve Guttenberg picture. It Takes Two. Christy Alley's also in that as well. So
yeah, she's pretty hot too. But I think you just say Cocoon 2 or something like that.
What's the answer, Tyler? Nobody can get it.
Child's Play.
Hey, that new shitty reboot, remake, whatever came out this week.
That made a
Joe watched the trailer for it too.
Yeah, I said I'll watch it just because I know I'm not going to like it.
How much did that make? It made 14. It made 14 million.
That's it. Oh,
yeah. It's dead in the water.
Do you know that the
good riddance?
The original Child's Play still is the highest grossing, and due to inflation, but it's still the best one. I mean, the highest grossing.
What is it with you guys and saying doo tonight?
I don't know, but
that's something Nathan says.
No.
Yeah, this new Child's Play does not look appealing at all. I'm not going to the theater for that. That can be a maybe when it pops up on a free HBO weekend.
Why would you want to devote any time of your life to watch it?
Yeah, you know what? I'll red box it. I'm curious.
God, you two.
Oh God.
And then Nathan said, "Yeah, that movie sucked." But don't mention. I was like, "Why did you, Nathan?" I was drunk.
And Kyle Kendall just popped in this late. Said going to be watching on replay. Looks like you guys went late tonight. So thanks for joining us, Kyle Kendall. And we're getting off right now. So see you next week.
Joe is at least.
Where are the tissues?
Bye. Exactly.
Where are the tissues? Joe, show everybody the tissues.
Right here. I'm using this later tonight. Right chair. Look at that, boy. Well, I got to open that up some more.
No, don't open that. Please don't open that.
Oh man, that must have been from last night. No,
look at all that. It looks like it's a pin.
You know we're still going, right? I haven't hit the button.
Yes, I do.
Off the broadcast.
I do.
All right.
I know. I know we're still going. Yeah, see, look at that. Yeah. This hasn't been used.
I like how he looks at that with admiration.
Look at that. Yeah,
it's almost Joe looks at tissues the way that Tyler looks at all those drawings of himself on the wall. I was like, would you look at that?
I don't know. Magnificent work.
Look what I did.
Why can't Hollywood cast a hero that looks that epic in illustrations like that? You know?
See, because without this eye hole actually sticks on my eyeball. So when I pop this up here on my cheekbone, it takes it off my eyeball. So there, I can see you guys. See you next week.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. It's sticky. Cool.
Balls.
Sticky tissues.